Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 16, where we are going to finish up talking about Lauren's sex offender treatment assignments. Hey there, Amanda James.
Hello, everyone.
Lauren.
Hello.
Hello. So, today we're going to talk about what the end of the road is supposed to look like as far as his treatment is concerned. So, we've talked about a lot of things so far through all of the episodes. We've covered topics like family, abuse, what he thinks relationships look like, his sexual history, a lot of different topics. And so now we're going to get to the very end where we're going to talk about how things are supposed to proceed from here. So, as everyone knows, I think that the class is supposed to take approximately 2 years. And it's going to depend upon how quickly the offender works through the assignments because they have to write it down and then they have to present it to the class. And of course, there's more than one person. I always picture it like a real classroom, but there's probably just a handful of people in there with one counselor, and they basically have to go around the room. They're all going to be at different stages of the program, but they're going to be reading their assignments, and then they get evaluated by the other people in the class. And that's supposed to help them possibly rethink their responses or maybe add to them, see what points the others can make in order to make their answer more substantial or more meaningful. So these assignments here are going to be what should be at the end of the book. You'll often hear Lauren say, "I finished the book." So these types of assignments would be at the end. So we've seen how Lauren has done so far in responding to these questions, and I suspect that it's going to be much the same with the rest of them. So let's get started. So the very first one that we're going to take a look at is called Thinking Errors About Victims. And this one says, there are many types of thinking that can support future sex offending behaviors. Below are examples of some of these ways of thinking. Check off any that you have thought in the past with a P, and if you still think it now, put an N on the line as well. So here's a list of things. And of course, when it comes to sex offenses, you're talking about things like internet offenses, like with what Lauren had, and other what would be considered, I think, more mild, and that all the way through rape. So some of these are going to sound a little bit extreme. I know that it kind of felt that way when I read them the first time. But I think what would be good for us to do is to take a look and see how perhaps Lauren didn't fill all of them in that perhaps he should have. So I'm going to start reading these, and we're going to go through Lauren's responses. And then also the ones that he didn't respond to, we're going to see if maybe he should have. So we're going to act like his class. You ready, Amanda James?
I am ready.
All right. So the first one, she didn't say no, so it was okay. And he marked that with a P. Would you agree with that answer?
Let me see. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is a thought that he had in the past. I say,
Yes.
yes, absolutely. I think that he thought that in the past. He's even said that. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they cared about each other.
Right, exactly. So not only did he not say no in the chat log, she didn't really say no either.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's where he's coming from with that. So that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
The next one, she was a slut.
Well, he didn't mark that one. What? I'm sorry. Why did he not mark this one? It just doesn't apply?
Yeah, I think that he's right. He's not answering them because he's saying I don't think that,
Okay.
or I didn't think that.
Uh-huh. Well, he didn't. That's true. He did not. She was a virgin. She was
Hmm.
so innocent. So I guess that one wouldn't apply.
Okay. They all want it.
I think he should have marked that with a P
Okay.
at least, because I I do think he thinks, he was like, "You're curious, aren't you? You're curious about sex now." So I think
Hmm.
he did think that all teenage girls, or teenagers in general, but of course in his situation teenage girls were interested in that. I mean, that's why he every time he would get up to go get coffee, he'd say, "You like it when I get up, don't you?" Because he assumed that she just wanted to see his naked body
Hmm.
and learn about all this. So, yeah, I think he did think that.
And I think he still does
Hmm.
as well. Just in the behavior of him sending photos of himself all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. It's like he can't put himself in somebody else's shoes, as far as he would love to see a naked body all the time. He would
Hmm.
love to get pictures of any part of their body. So they must want to see pictures of, well, all kinds of unattractive body parts on Lauren too.
Right. But also, even when he's talking to his other girlfriends, they're always fucking when he's not on the phone or they're not answering. In particular, I think Winnie.
Hmm.
Um,
Definitely.
of course, she kind of made it. She probably was.
Yeah.
um, but even with Jamie and really any woman that he's speaking to, he just feels like they just want it all the time. They're doing it all the time.
Hmm. Well, I think a good example of that too is when he was assaulted and
Mm,
he told her that she didn't fight hard enough, which means that she wanted it.
true. Yes, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's an
Hmm.
excellent example.
Hmm.
The next one, it wasn't that bad.
Absolutely. I can't believe he didn't mark that. He still thinks that.
Mm.
He thought that then. He thinks that now. It was just talking. He didn't really do anything that bad because he didn't get to commit the act.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. I wasn't even thinking in terms of that, but that's perfect. I was thinking in terms of like, I didn't really hurt you. You say that I did, but I didn't, type of a thing. More of a physical, a physical act. But yeah, absolutely. I think that's an excellent point. It wasn't that bad. What I did really wasn't that bad because I didn't want to go meet her.
Yeah, and he said in his lawsuit, talking to a teenage girl really isn't that bad.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember his exact quote, but I mean that was what he was saying. It might have been that exact quote.
Yeah.
He really doesn't think it was a really bad or damaging thing. It's like he forgets that he exposed himself to her every day too.
Mm-hmm.
He forgets to mention that part, or maybe he blocked it out intentionally.
Yeah.
But at least the sexual conversation in his mind wasn't, it just wasn't that bad. Certainly not bad enough for him to be on probation for all these years and have to participate in this class.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think also with it not being, let's see, I just had a thought and then it left my head. What a
Floated
shocker.
away.
It sure did.
Well, I was thinking maybe because it wasn't a real girl as well.
Yes.
In his mind, it wasn't that bad. It was just a decoy. I didn't really even do anything that bad.
Yeah.
But all these could apply to the real girls that he did talk to as well.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Hmm.
definitely. And I think at some point, I remember what I was going to say. I think at some point in this group of assignments, he does contradict that point a little bit
Hmm.
he didn't mark it on here. We're marking it for him. But we're going to see that come into play, I think, later on.
Hmm.
So the next one, I didn't hurt her.
yeah, I think he thought that in the past and he thinks it now
Hmm.
because he again doesn't think it was that bad. He doesn't think it was damaging. It was just talking to her, and he never actually got to, commit the physical crime.
Right. This next one, I think, should be marked with a P and an N, highlighted stars next to it. And that is, it just happened.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe he left that blank because that's like his whole defense. I just weren't thinking. I was just out of my mind. It
I
just happened.
know.
You from my family, and she was giving me attention. It just happened.
Yeah, she wasn't asking for money.
Hmm.
She wasn't asking for money. Certainly, 2 weeks or 3 weeks into it, had she asked for money, he would have left immediately. He would have turned off
Yeah,
his computer, never came back.
yeah. He'd be like, "You don't love me for me. You just love me for my wallet, and I'm not putting up with that anymore."
That's right.
That's why he was promising her red BMWs and honeymoons in Hawaii and bragging about his. He actually took a picture of the credit card with the $300 limit.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
holding it. I believe that he was well, he would have been naked at the time, but he was
Hmm.
shirtless, certainly. In front of that.
Very
Wow, look
attractive.
at all that you could have, Kayla.
I know this exactly. That's a perfect picture of Lauren. This is what you get.
Such a
$300 max and this body.
Yep. $300 and that's it because I'm not paying shit and that's going to get maxed out and charged off.
Hmm.
So you get one chance.
Oh God.
And wasn't it funny how I believe in the chat log he put that red BMW in front of her and then also said stop thinking about that.
Yes, absolutely. That red BMW doesn't have a penis. Stop thinking about that red BMW now. Pay attention to me.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, his jealousy has no limitations. He is jealous of a video game, a car that he offered. He's
Yeah,
the one who brought
yeah.
up the car.
Yeah, exactly. So the next one, if someone turns me on, then they want it.
Mm, I don't know about that one.
Hmm.
I don't know if he thinks that way necessarily. Again, it goes back to I think he thinks all women and girls apparently want it all the time. Um, but I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think so. And I'm not quite sure why. Um, if someone turns me on, then they want it. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because I think Lorne gets turned on by many things. So I'm thinking of Miranda Lambert, for example.
Hmm.
I don't think that he's thinking of her as he's like watching her on TV. She wants it.
No. She would have if he hadn't committed his crime.
That is very true. That is
She would
very
have.
true. Um, but yeah, I don't think that he's thinking in terms of that. No, I'm gonna say no for that.
Yeah. 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 I don't think so either. That didn't strike me as a very Lorne like thought.
No,
So,
but let us know in the comments if you disagree,
yes.
because I would definitely like to hear your answers. The next one is she was fine with this.
Oh, definitely.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we'd have to put a no there as well.
Definitely we would because
Hmm.
even if we can't really use because Kayla wasn't real,
Yes.
obviously.
Hmm.
So we can't really use her as an example or to apply to that situation. But with the other girls that he talked to, Molly specifically, he absolutely still thinks that she was fine with it and therefore it's okay.
Yes. Yep. Definitely.
And that's not uncommon um, for for a predatory mindset. I mean, obviously, but I don't know if I've told you this story before, but there's this guy at my work, and he told me. that when he was in his 20s, he had a 15-year-old girlfriend.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, cool. You're lucky you're not a registered sex offender. Stupid.
And he's
What do
like,
you?
actually.
I know, I know. Little do you know. He said, but, I didn't even come on to her. She came on to me. I didn't even
Oh,
want it. She came on to me, and her parents knew about it, and they loved me because I made sure she went to school. I was the only one making sure she went to school. And I mean, obviously I'm like, first of all, I'm at work. Get the fuck away from me.
yeah,
What are you
right.
talking about?
Yes.
What are you talking about? But why do I have to explain to a grown man that, first of all, parents can't give you permission to molest their child?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. And second of all, it doesn't matter. Children can't consent. They can't make that decision. You can't say she came on to me. She wanted it, so it was fine.
Yeah.
It, I think I think
Yeah.
it's just a common way for them to think. I didn't force anybody.
Oh, sure. And I think we'll see that too in the rationalizations exercise.
Hmm.
But yeah, absolutely. I think that it's a way of making it not that big of a deal.
Hmm.
Just like with what he did. I almost said your friend.
No, oh no.
Sorry about that.
Oh my God. Well, and
Also,
shifting
yeah.
blame. That's what this
Sure.
man was doing. Absolutely shifting the blame to the child.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
because they started it. They wanted it.
So get some pepper spray, okay?
Hmm.
Make sure you carry that with you. What a creep.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah, I had heard a similar story. This was on a podcast, and this woman had called in and was talking about her husband. Her husband was caught spending time with, I think, a 13-year-old girl, and it was at their church. And I can't remember all of the details, like what actually happened between them. But he said to her and also to the other people at the church that, well, she started holding my hand. And
Yeah.
so that turned into a green light, I guess.
Hmm.
Yeah. Jeez. And none of it's good. It's never a
No.
green light. Yeah, we know. We all know that.
Hmm.
So the next one is, it's okay. I was just playing around.
Yeah, and he marked past. That's how he's thinking in the past, and that is true. Of course, he did. I mean, well, I don't think he thought that. I don't think he
Mhm.
ever thought he was just playing around, but that's the story he's tried to tell everyone. It
Yes.
was just something to do. I never went to go there. It was just talking.
Hmm.
But at the time, he was not playing around at all. He was dead serious. He wanted this little girl more than anything in the world. He wanted her to be his girlfriend, his wife,
Mother
his.
of his children.
Yeah, I know. One of the craziest parts of the chat log is when he said, and I'm so glad you were able to get this part on recording when you were reading the chat log with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, Kayla, no, he said, oh my God, Kayla, I want you to be the mother of my baby so bad, it's not even funny. I love that part. It's
Why,
so
Lauren?
stupid.
How about if you explain why?
Yeah. You
Because
think
he
she's going to be a
can't.
good mother?
Right.
She,
Yeah, you see some really motherly ways about her in the way that she
yeah,
is talking to you.
seriously. She didn't even know if she had a garage. You think you're going to trust her with a baby?
Right. And I don't even think that she called him for his interview that morning to wake him up, did she?
I don't think so. I hope
I
not.
hope that too.
I really hope not. I don't remember anything in the chat log of him saying, because I feel like if she did, he would have been like, thank you for making sure I got up. I don't remember that.
Yeah. You must really like me to wake me up.
Yeah, that's what a girlfriend does.
Oh, yeah. The next one, girls who dress sexy are asking for it.
I absolutely think he thinks that.
Mm-hmm.
And the example I'm going to point to is the the girl who he was trying to rent the metal shed to.
Exactly.
Yeah, he focused an awful lot on her clothes
Mm-hmm.
and what she looked like, and therefore, she should have been, I don't know, more grateful that he offered to let her live in a metal box for hundreds of dollars a month, whatever
Yes.
he charged.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it was really strange how he focused in on her clothes.
Hmm.
He described almost everything.
Yeah, I know. Just halter top and this short skirt and these high heels and
Yeah,
her tattoos.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
how many times have you had an interaction with somebody and then you go and tell someone else about it and you just describe what they're wearing?
yeah, never. I mean, unless it's relevant to the story, which this was
I
not.
suppose. Well, I mean, to Lauren's story, it was.
I mean, well, in his mind, I guess, but not real. I mean, I offered her the place. She didn't want it. She acted like she was too good for it. What does it matter what she's wearing in that
Right.
situation? I mean, if somebody walks in, I don't know, to the office in a thong and a bra, then maybe it's relevant to the story,
No, absolutely. That is
you
true.
know. But
Yeah.
in this case, would it matter if she was wearing overalls or a mini skirt? Your
Yeah.
metal box was shitty and she didn't like it. That's the story.
Do you think that he imagined that she got dressed up for him?
Um, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I guess it depends on what she was wearing because he saw her before that. He went
Yeah.
to the motel and she was there with Roy. So, maybe if he went there and she was in sweats and like a t-shirt
Hmm.
and then showed up at the trailer all dolled up, maybe. But I just don't know. He did not describe what she was wearing at the motel.
Sure. Any other time. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. It could have been the same clothes. We just don't know.
Right.
Let's see. The drugs or alcohol had nothing to do with it.
Um, yeah, I would say he did not think that, and because he wasn't drunk when he talked to Kayla. I mean, he talked to Kayla for a month. It's not like he was hammered the whole time. He went out drinking a couple times, but
Right. Right. It wasn't like doing what he did only happened when he was drinking.
right.
Yeah. He was dead ass sober most of
Hmm.
the time, unless he went out because he didn't have a lot of money.
Right. So the answer should be now. I think that now because the
Mm,
drugs and alcohol did have nothing to do with it, but he
right.
just skipped over. He just skipped over it.
All right.
Oh God, I read ahead.
Yeah, the next one is pretty gnarly, but we'll read it just for completion's sake.
Hmm.
Um, Bring her around again. I'll show them what rape is.
I never give Lauren the benefit of the doubt or think, you know, the better of him, but I don't think he thinks that
No,
way.
no. And that's why I said that it runs the whole gamut, of
Hmm.
sex offenses. So, given that it's on a list, though, that tells me that it's something that's pretty common
Hmm.
or something that's definitely, it's not an obscure thought that they hear in their therapy,
Yeah, I'm sure.
which is so disgusting and scary.
Hmm. Well, because I mean, we've talked about this before. Um, a lot of these predatory guys, when it comes to underage girls that appear to be willing, they don't think of it as rape. They think
Yes.
of rape as like, I'm going to hold you down while you scream and cry and
Uh-huh.
force you to do this. So, I didn't rape that girl. She was my girlfriend. I'll show her what rape is.
Yeah.
Ugh,
Yeah. Ugh,
that's awful.
I know. So the next one is if she had a problem, they should have said so. What the hell am I supposed to do? Read minds?
Again, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I would say that Lauren did feel that way and probably, still would. Again, we can't really apply this to the Kayla situation because
Hmm.
she wasn't real. Um, but with the other girls, yeah, it goes back to like she was going along with it. She wanted it. We were in a relationship. How was I supposed to know this isn't good to do to a young girl, or I was
Hmm.
damaging her in some way?
Yeah, and also too, I mean, I suppose that if we're talking about young girls, then it would be reading the minds of the general public and adults, because
Hmm.
for the girls that he was talking to, not just Kayla, but with Molly and Melissa and whomever else, we just don't know about them. They were obviously going along with it, so he takes that as a yes, even though it's supposed to be an automatic no.
Hmm. Well, there's also during the chat log with Kayla when he was pressuring her or encouraging her to experiment on
Hmm.
herself, she did say no,
Right.
and he still pushed for it. It's okay. It's just me. You're just talking to me. You're just doing it to yourself. It's fine. Do it
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. Okay. Well, another wrong answer then for Lauren
Hmm.
by leaving it blank. So the next one, she liked it.
Definitely. Yes.
Hmm. And I would say
He
that
did.
applies now too.
I do too.
Yeah.
Hmm.
She made me do it.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe not like forced, but lured me. She manipulated me. She knew that I was vulnerable, so she targeted me for that reason and showed me that she cared about me. I never would have done it otherwise. Yeah, I'm gonna say yeah. He did think that, or does think that.
Yeah. Female powers.
Exactly.
Yeah. This one, I am shocked that he did not mark this one. I was teaching her about sex.
He literally was. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he
Yeah,
was
she was
literally talking about
curious.
it.
That's
Right.
how it all started. You're curious now, aren't you? I mean, within the first, I don't know, like maybe hour of the chat log, you're curious about sex now, aren't you?
Oh yeah, it was pretty immediate
Hmm.
that he did that. I think he exposed himself within the hour, but I think as far as
Hmm.
talking about sex, yeah, it was pretty much right away.
Yeah, I think that the chat log when, how old are you? You're a cutie. I've got nieces your age. You must be bored if you're on the internet, right? Have you seen anybody in the chat room, anything in the chat room that made you say, wow? Have you
Hmm.
seen anybody mention rape or sex? So now you're curious about sex, right? What do you know about sex?
Yeah.
It was pretty much immediate.
It's almost like you've read the chat log before.
I have read it. I have definitely read it.
So then
But
I
he was so eager. I'm sorry. He was so eager to teach her about sex. I think that's like one of the things that turned him on the most.
Oh, definitely.
I
Definitely. That's
definitely
why
do.
I think one of the reasons he's so interested in a virgin.
Hmm.
Um, because he says that he wants to be good for her. He wants to be gentle with her.
Oh, I hate
I
that.
know. Yeah.
I really hate that.
Yeah. So I think definitely that one should have been marked for
Hmm.
sure. And the next one, I only fondled her.
Well, no, because he didn't. But um, I only pressured her to fondle herself would apply, or I only blank. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be. So, yes, I only blank would apply to him. I only showed her my dick. I
Mm-hmm.
only talked sexually to her. I didn't, hurt her. I didn't
Yeah.
force her or whatever.
Yeah. I know what that look means.
Um, well, I'm going to say yes, both past and now, because when we hear Lauren talk about the women who have been interested in him, namely Paula, he talks about all the signs she was giving, or the woman who kept trying to sit next to him at the bar, Mikey's mom.
Mikey's mom. Mikey's mom
Yeah,
got it good that night.
she did. Poor Mikey.
Yeah.
Poor Mikey.
Oh, jeez. But yeah, you're right. He does talk about the look. They was
Hmm.
gawking at him.
Oh, absolutely. Right. The lady gawking at him at the yard sale. The woman blowing smoke in his face.
Oh my gosh.
All these things are signs that
That is true.
they want him.
That is true. She didn't struggle, so they wanted it.
Yes.
Okay.
I think he thought that then and still thinks it now. And again, I'm going to go back um, to Molly and the other girls he talked to, and Kayla as well.
Yeah.
They didn't. They kept the conversation going. They obviously wanted it.
And then also going back to how you mentioned Winnie and not fighting hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You didn't really hurt anyone by this.
Yeah, I also agree with that.
Yeah.
Children can fall in love too.
Yeah.
So I think he did. Well, actually, he can be hurt by it, but because he talks about how his whole life was affected by what happened to him when he
Mm-hmm.
was a boy.
Sure. Yeah. And then, of course, the idea that Kayla wasn't real.
Mm-hmm.
He or she deserved it.
Again, I I don't ever speak highly of Lauren. And this isn't speaking highly of him, but I don't think he believes that.
Mm-hmm.
No.
It wasn't sexual abuse.
Yes, I think he believed that then, and he believes it now. These were relationships he had. They
Mm-hmm.
had feelings for each other,
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent
especially
point.
with Molly. They cared about each other.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he sees it as sexual abuse at all.
Right. And then here's another one that just needs to be highlighted. I had no choice.
Yeah, he's such a lazy fucker for not marking these off because he absolutely believed it then. He believes it now to this day. He had no choice.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we're going to see this again too in
Hmm.
other assignments tonight. But not having the choice is definitely a big one.
Hmm.
She was going to leave if he
I know.
didn't
I
do
can't
it.
believe he didn't at least mark it as passed.
I know.
That's his whole defense.
I know. I know. And this last one I think is really funny. Go ahead and read it.
Okay. This was all blown out of proportion. And he marked, he believed that in the past and now.
And so for now, what did he write in? Why he thinks that way?
Oh, because of the show.
Yeah,
It was all blown out of proportion because of the show.
that's right. It wasn't just a local thing. They could have done that. And it should
I
have
know.
been just a local thing, local police.
Hmm.
Yeah. So he hates Dateline so much.
I know. It was all a show. It was all a setup. It was all a show. Nobody is disputing the fact that it was a show. And yes, it was a setup. It's a sting.
I know.
That is literally what a sting is. That doesn't mean, oh, it's so frustrating.
I know.
That video is so stupid.
But I know. Oh goodness. Well,
That's a
so
good one.
so I think just based on all of these items, there were a ton that applied to Lorne that he just didn't pick.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's because he's lazy and stupid.
Mm.
And it's like when you're in seventh grade and
Okay.
you're just trying to get answers. You got a pop quiz and you're
Mm-hmm.
like, fuck, I don't know. I didn't study. I was up playing video games all night. So you're just doing the very bare minimum, barely reading, barely scan, just putting something on the page, not actually putting any thought into it. And that's why Lauren's still in the class.
Yeah.
No thoughtful answers.
No, and I think also even when he's in the class, he's trying to present himself in the most mild way possible.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't want to come out and say, I was teaching her about sex. She made me do it. She deserved it. It wasn't sexual abuse. I had no choice. He doesn't want to say that,
Mm-hmm.
because he knows, I think, what that's going to sound like, even though that's how he feels.
I know, but what he doesn't understand is because he's too dumb to understand it. That's what it takes to get out of the class.
Of course, yeah.
Is answering the questions honestly, even if it makes you look bad. The worse you look, the better, in fact, I would think,
Mm-hmm.
because it shows that he's taking responsibility and, understanding his crime
Yeah.
instead of shifting the blame and deflecting and minimizing.
Yeah. It's just like what I think it was Judge Nixon when he was at his detention hearing prior to his revocation hearing said that you are not the victim of your own crime. Oh, was that
Hmm.
him or was that Woodcock that said
That was
that?
Woodcock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, I mean, that just sums it up.
Hmm.
He's not the
Okay.
victim of his own crime, but he believes that so hard. And he wants
Hmm.
you to believe that too. That is the most important thing.
Hmm.
Anyway, so we're going to put an F in that section.
Oh, of course.
And let's see if we can go to the next section here. We have list at least 3 other ways of thinking that you've had or still do have related to your victim that are not on the above list. You want to read?
Yes. Number one, I was only talking. Number two, I never wanted anything to happen. And number three, I never wanted to go there. But which are all incorrect, as we know, which are all untrue.
Mm-hmm.
But even number one, I mean, Lauren does this thing where, like, you can't prove me wrong about him saying he never wanted to go to the house
Mm-hmm.
and he never would have, gone through with it. He never would have actually had sex with a kid. And we can say the evidence shows that you clearly did want to go and you would have. But
Mm-hmm.
he says, you're not in my mind. You don't know that. So, okay, fine. But number one is we can absolutely prove incorrect. He wasn't only talking, he was also exposing himself to her.
Yes.
But he like forgets that part or just refuses to mention it. And that's a huge part of the whole thing. I think it wasn't only talking, it was
Uh-huh.
almost immediately exposing himself to her and daily for a month.
Yeah.
um so yeah, that's bullshit.
Yeah, I'm really curious if he's ever expressed that part of it because he does always say I was just talking.
Hmm.
I never planned to go there. I wasn't thinking I was going to. It was just talking. And he never talks about himself being on his webcam naked.
No, it's like when Chris showed him the pictures, he just flips them over and just tries to pretend that didn't happen.
Yeah,
We're
and
just
he's
not going to talk about that part.
and he said snot.
Snort.
I didn't want her to get in trouble with her parents.
Didn't want to get in trouble with burn. I do. I wonder if his class has ever brought that up to him, though.
Yeah.
It was not just talking.
I know. That's what I'm so curious about. If they if they actually know. Because I think that one of the first steps in this whole process is you have to tell them what you did.
Hmm. Oh,
And
yeah.
so I'm wondering if he'll, say like I was caught up in staying, I was really, I was lost at the time and going through his whole spiel that we've always heard. And I'm wondering if the counselor makes any corrections to that because they'll
Yeah,
actually know.
right. I'm sure he just summed it up and said, I talked sexually to a girl because I thought she cared about me. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure he, if he had the choice, he did not go into detail about, you know, showing her his dick
Hmm.
literally every day for a month.
Yeah. Yeah, made her take ownership of it.
I know. He even called them Mr. Penis and Miss Vagina. Oh
Yeah,
man, to be a fly on the wall in that classroom when
I
he has to
know.
say that.
I know. So the other one, it kind of goes along. I never wanted anything to happen.
Number two and number three are just um, redundant. It's the
Yeah.
same thing. I
Yeah.
never wanted anything to happen. I never wanted to go there is encompassed by I never wanted anything to happen. Again, I think it's just lazy writing on Lauren's part.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I mean, it baffles me how he can claim that so um, confidently when the evidence is there. He was counting down the days. He could not wait to go.
No.
He couldn't afford gas or anything. Like he had no money. He spent the last of his money that he didn't have to get there. He was concerned about having gas money to get to work for the rest of the week, and he still went there.
Yeah.
He had a better option, according to him. He had plans to go to the bar and get drunk on somebody else's dime all
Mm-hmm.
night.
Yeah.
He wanted to go there more than literally anything else in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. He's just like you had said, he's really focusing on what can't be proven
Hmm.
because we can't. We can't crack open his head and actually see his thoughts. We can see the representation of them,
Hmm.
obviously, in the evidence of him doing everything that he did, everything we can see. So it's irrelevant what he was thinking as he was driving there.
Yes.
You know, it's irrelevant that when he's sitting in front of the computer dingling with himself, he's he's thinking like, oh, this is just what I'm going to do. I would never actually meet her.
Hmm.
You know, there's no way to know that. And I think he really clings on to that because he'll say things like, you're not going to drag that out of me.
Hmm. But again, without realizing that it almost makes him look worse. If he says, I didn't want to go there, I was very hesitant about going there.
Mm-hmm.
Because if his story is, he basically just had no control. He was so vulnerable and his head was so messed up that he totally lost sight of the fact that she was a child.
Yeah.
So if that's true, then what moral, quandary did you have about going there if you lost sight of that? It would almost make him look better or at least more honest. Well, not honest, but it would make, if he just said, yeah, I wanted to go there. She was my girlfriend. She was the only person in the world who loved me. And I was craving love so badly at that time, nothing else mattered. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to go there. Obviously, I went there, but he just can't do that.
No, nope, he cannot.
All of his excuses make him look worse. I had plans that night with adult friends, but I went there instead. My dog was home alone, scared of the storm, but I went instead.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't afford to go there, but I still did.
Yeah.
All those things show that that is what he wanted more than anything.
Yeah. Spot on.
Hmm.
So the next one, how could your ways of thinking about victims place you at higher risk to reoffend?
Well, he started writing and then crossed it out and then completed the answer in a different colored ink.
Mm-hmm.
So his first answer was, if I were to get at a point where I wasn't able to think straight again from being used, and which is incoherent,
Uh-huh.
and
Right.
has nothing to do with the above thoughts. Oh God, it's so frustrating. Like, Lauren, how do you think that answered the question? Which obviously it didn't, so he crossed that out. I don't know if his teacher gave him a big F and said, nope, try again, pedo. But he
Yeah.
said his final answer was thinking that talking in that manner would be okay. So basically, it was just talking. I didn't really hurt anybody. Therefore, it's okay to do would lead him to reoffend. To reoffend.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's basically saying that he could reoffend again.
Mm-hmm. Because he does think it's okay
Yeah.
to talk like that.
Yeah, exactly. None of
At
that's
least,
changed.
yeah, at least morally, he thinks it's okay. He knows it's illegal now,
Mhm.
obviously, but in his head, it's not really a bad thing.
Yeah. What are some healthier ways of thinking you could use?
Oh my God. So again, this answer, he started in one color ink and then finished in another. So he must have got another correction. But he said, to not let anyone use me and to do what I can to help protect minors. Yeah, Lauren, that's what they want you to do. They want you to be like Batman and protect the minors of the world. They want you to stay the fuck away from them.
Yes.
And then he finished by saying, and say no more often to people. Oh my God. I want to punch the wall. Don't you want to punch something?
Absolutely. Yes.
Oh, fuck. Again, just shifting the blame. It's not my fault. I had no control of myself because somebody used me, which has nothing to do with this crime. And
No.
to learn to say no. And I think you said this before.
Mhm.
Um, the only person Lauren has trouble saying no to is himself.
Oh yeah, Ember said that.
Oh, did she? Well,
Yeah,
it's good. I mean, it's true. It's good.
it's
That
very
just
true.
sums it up. It's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, that's who he needs to say no to.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Nothing stops Lauren from doing what he wants.
Mm-mm.
Nothing.
How ridiculous to say, well, my brother came and asked me for money, and I couldn't say no. So that led me to drive across state lines to abuse a child after exposing myself to her on webcam for a month. But if I had just said, nope, I can't give you that money, I never would have committed the crime. I just
Mm,
have to say no. I have to say no more often.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting too how none of this has to do with the victim.
He's the victim. That's why.
Yeah, it has all
Mhm.
everything has to do with him. What are some healthier ways of thinking you could use? Now we're talking about victims. So perhaps it would be I understand how damaging this is for children to even be exposed
Mhm.
to things visually, to have someone talk to them about this. That's going to stop me.
Mhm.
But you don't see any of that here. It's all I need to make sure that people don't use me. So if they don't use me, then the children of the world are going to be safe.
Another thing that's very interesting about this is to do what I can to help protect minors.
Yeah.
Does he, and what it's making me think of is the 9-year-old girl in the skirt.
Oh, yeah.
Does he think that that's what his class wants to see from him, or his treatment providers want to see from him? They want to see him protect children.
Well, I think that when it came to the polygraph, I'm not 100% clear on the details of that particular test, like why he went in there, what prompted it. Was it just a regular one or
I think so.
okay, so it was a regular one and I don't know if he was feeling apprehensive about something or thinking that maybe he wasn't going to pass for some reason. So when the person asked him, "Is there anything bothering you?" and then he just comes out with that.
Yeah.
I think maybe it was sort of just it was something in the way of like, oh well, if I fail, then that's going to be the reason why. If I fail
I see.
about yeah, if there's any question related to like am I looking at any media related to children, looking at it in a sexual way, then I could say, well, I wasn't doing that. I was seeing it from the perspective of a real predator and worried for her.
Right. I was thinking about it in a sexual way, but not about me committing the sexual crimes
Exactly.
against her, about
Hmm.
someone else doing it.
Yeah. Yeah,
because I
exactly.
protect minors now.
Right. He's always loved kids, even when he was a kid.
That's true. And that's remarkable.
It really is.
I've never met a kid who likes other kids.
That is true. That is true. And also, remember when he was, what was he trying to sell? Was he thinking he was going to make money off of a website?
Hmm.
And this was when Casey, I think, was supposed to make a website and she was supposed to dance on it. It was like his website. Do you remember that?
Yes, vaguely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was supposed to dance. And of course, Dan and Emma were going to help do
Yes.
stuff.
The first Casey. Yeah.
Yeah, the first Casey. Yes. And he wanted to have the money like divvied out into a bunch of different charities. And one of them was Chris Hansen.
Hmm. That has gone on for like he repeated that plan for a long time. He um oh, what is it? He did say he wanted to do something else in one of the charities. I remember because he was talking to Debbie, and he's
Oh,
like he was trying to get Debbie to help him with um some, I can't remember what he was trying to sell, but the profits were going to go to these charities of his choice, but he just really needed someone to write the check for the charities.
oh, that was the one. Yes. Uh
And
huh.
it had to be Debbie
Yeah.
because, and it was obviously just because he wanted a reason to communicate with Debbie.
Sure.
Um, but Chris Hansen was one of the charities that he chose then. And he also said that he went to his sheriff's department
Mm-hmm.
and gave them a ring that he bought at an auction and told them to sell it and use the money to conduct predator stings in their area. And he also said he wrote a book, or he like gave one of his books, maybe the cat one, the like missing cat book.
Yeah. Uh huh.
He gave a book to them and told them to publish it and sell it and use the money to conduct child predator stings in the area.
Well, I don't know how that's possible because he gave Debbie that book.
Well, I guess he doesn't know about like copyright and stuff because now it's also, I'm sure it was a lie anyway. I mean,
Oh, for sure.
fucking idiot. Walking into the sheriff's department with a handwritten uh, children's story. You are a sexual offender, sir. You are a child molester. And he walks in with a children's book, handwritten on notebook paper, and uh, I want you to publish this book and sell it, and you can use the money to catch more people like me.
Well, not
How
like me,
ridiculous.
but what I portrayed as, what NBC
Right,
put out.
right. But do it a real one this time and don't let NBC be there. Don't let
Yes.
any cameras be there because that's not
Yeah.
legal.
Right. Oh, goodness. Well, I think he made a lot of errors in his thinking errors assignment.
Yeah, he sucks at thinking. Oh, you know what? That just jogged my memory too. That it's called thinking errors
Yeah.
because if you remember when he failed the polygraph test during the most recent Casey saga, he failed the polygraph test for using images of minors for sexual stimulation during masturbation. So
Uh-huh.
he admitted that he thought about the girls from high school,
Yes.
called it a thinking error when he was talking to Casey. He said, "Well, I weren't thinking about it in that way. It were a thinking error."
Oh, so it's kind of like a thought crime.
Kind of, yeah. So I wonder if his treatment provider was like, "Hey, Lauren, remember we talked about thinking errors? You thinking that it's okay to masturbate to memories of children just because you were once a child?
Right.
That is a thinking error. You can't think like that. It's wrong."
Yeah. He should wear like a shock collar,
Oh, that's a great idea.
you know. It could
Yeah.
be like even that limestone testing. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
How amazing that would be.
Oh, that would, if the shock collar was the device they use for
Yeah.
that testing? That would be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet it would be pretty um successful too, right?
I imagine that it would be.
You electrocute, it works for dogs.
Yeah.
You electrocute the penis every time he has a thinking error. That sounds like a great job to conduct those tests.
Oh,
If you use the shocker, if not, then it's horrible. It's the worst job in the
then
world.
it's
I don't know if you've
horrible.
ever did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if there's like torture involved, that sounds pretty good.
Lauren starts to cry every time he has a thought like that. He just starts to cry. He's like, I'm going to get shocked to my dink.
Well, he did say that he has to stop himself from masturbating at times because a thought will come into his head and it pisses me off. Pisses me off. I was trying to jerk off and I can't. I keep thinking about little girls and their hair.
What? Are you? I don't remember that.
Yeah, he told when he was talking to Casey,
Oh,
they were
God.
talking about the psych eval and the polygraph test, and
Okay.
she was drilling him about the 9-year-old girl.
Yeah.
She's like, why would you talk about that? Why are you bringing up the 9-year-old girl and Mary Ingalls from Little House on the Prairie?
Mm-hmm.
And the test said you were thinking about little girls during masturbation, which he was, and he admitted because it was the girls from high school. But he said, well, that's why I don't masturbate unless I have a clear mind. And she's like, what? And he said, yeah, I've had to stop myself from masturbating before because the thought of a girl will pop in my head and it pissed me off.
Oh my God. I mean, it's funny that the statement is really funny,
Hmm.
but that's very strange. I
Yeah,
highly
well,
doubt that.
I do too. Absolutely. He's not going to stop for anything. He's full of
No,
shit. And he
that's going to make
didn't.
him go feverishly.
Yes, he didn't stop. He locked those memories in his head and used
Yeah.
them for masturbation material multiple times. He named like 3 girls
Oh, man.
from high school. But Casey, he was trying to portray it as like it's an innocent thing. I'm not thinking
Yeah.
of like naked girls or having sex with girls. It's just, their face pops into my head and I have to stop myself because I don't want that. And Casey said, does the thought of a boy just ever randomly pop into your mind? And he said, oh God, no.
Of course.
Yeah, which is just a great question to prove the point.
Exactly. Well, let's see what else we have over here.
Okay.
So, the next one that we have is called Rationalization and Transitory Guilt. So, the instructions are I may experience a sense of remorse or regret for hurting someone immediately following a sexual assault. This guilty feeling would be short lived and would quickly turn into rationalizations. A lot of offenders do not experience guilt.
Yeah, I think Lauren falls under that
Mm-hmm.
category, the
Yeah.
category of the latter. I don't think he felt guilt for a second.
No, I agree. Some of my typical thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that are associated with this stage of the cycle are listed below. Now, I want everyone to ignore the brown schmear that we see.
Yeah. That looks, I can't ignore it, Tiffany. It looks like shit. It looks like actual human shit. Doesn't it?
I mean, it's very suspect.
I mean, it could be from a dog, but that came out of an asshole. That is fecal matter. And it looks like to the right, there's pee.
It could be that, or I was thinking coffee because I
No,
just
it looks like
imagine there's coffee
pee.
everywhere. It looks brownish to me.
It looks, well, on my screen, it looks yellow.
Oh, okay.
So we're just going to have to agree to
Wow.
disagree.
You're like, I am dying on that hill and it is
Yes,
pee. Yes.
Lauren peed on this paper.
Okay. We will go with that then.
Oh, God, who knows what it is? That's yuck.
That is very, very strange looking. Oh, gosh.
Gross.
Let's see if we can read past it.
I'll try.
So, here are some thoughts. So, what are his thoughts?
He says, I'm not going to ever meet her anyway, so it doesn't matter if I let her believe that I will meet her.
Okay. So the feelings, I don't want to talk sexually to her, but if I don't, then she may not want to have anything to do with me.
Okay,
And the
I'm gonna kill him.
and then we have the behaviors. So he talks to her sexually so that she doesn't leave him.
It's times like this when I wish the treatment provider used his chat log to reference during
Mhm.
these times, because I mean, I don't know, I'm not a mental health professional, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but I would prove him wrong, show him that you're not being truthful. She did not ever encourage you to talk sexually. You wanted it because he did it despite what she wanted,
Yeah.
not because he thought she wanted that. He could tell she didn't really want to talk like that. He would
Yeah.
try to get her to say dirty things and reciprocate, and she never would. She was
Yeah.
clearly uncomfortable.
Mhm.
What a shitty cop out. I didn't want to. I wasn't turned on by any of that. I didn't even want to talk to her like that. It's just that's all she thought about was sex. That's
Yeah.
all she ever wanted. So and if I didn't talk about it, then she would be cold and distant to me.
Uh-huh.
So I just I did it to make her happy because I was so scared of her leaving me.
And you know what's funny about that too? So we know that Lauren has talked or in attempted to talk to a ton of young girls. Whoever he would come across, he'd want to talk to them.
Hmm.
So I'm so curious if he would think that way about all of them. Like
Well,
where did this come from?
I it, I think it came from him just not wanting to admit that he ever wanted any of this, that he was sexually attracted to a young girl.
Mhm.
He just wants to portray that he was attracted to being loved. That's
Mhm.
all. Sex really, he doesn't want to be looked at like a pervert. He'd
Yeah.
rather be looked at like a lonely, like pathetic, sad person than to be looked at like a sexual deviant, like a
Yes.
pervert.
Mhm.
That's what he's doing here. Again, he's making himself the victim.
Yeah.
I was forced to talk to her sexually. I didn't want to. It didn't turn me on. I only did it because she wanted me to.
Mhm.
That's why there's shit smeared on that statement, because it's in the perfect spot too,
Yeah.
because it is such bullshit coming out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And
It's a
it's kind of
shit answer.
shocking that he has the balls to even say that.
You know, it is shocking, but at the same time, this is the type of answer that's throughout the entire book.
Well, and he's in a class full of other perverts.
Uh
Like,
huh.
you're not fooling anyone.
I know that is the funny thing about it, I think, because, obviously everyone is there for a reason. There's not a single decent person in there. They're all
Hmm.
degenerates. They've all hurt people in some way. So you, it's funny that Lorne attempts to make himself seem like, oh, I'm just here, because I have to be. But, my situation's a little bit different because I didn't actually rape anybody. Um,
Hmm.
because of course, the narrative that he brings forward is that this was a one time thing, that he was out of
Hmm.
his mind. He didn't realize what he was doing and he got caught up in a sting. He was trolled, the whole thing, all of the excuses that he gives. And he just makes himself seem like he is that one in a million that is the outlier. Like, I'm just here on a technicality, guys.
Yeah, I'm not actually attracted to minors
Yeah.
like the rest of you scumbags.
Yeah. And I think also it's sort of flipping it around because truthfully, Lauren's not interested in talking to them if they're
Right?
not
Yeah.
going to. to talk to him about it or eventually do that because he'll try
Or
really
let
hard.
right, or let him talk about that.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Totally agree. I didn't even think of that. It is completely flipped around. I think if Kayla were a real kid, she would have been letting him do that because she was afraid that he would leave if she didn't,
Hmm.
when she didn't want to. And I would guess the same was true for his real life victims.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the lives of the girls that he was really involved with were really complicated.
Hmm.
You know, they were confusing, they were dysfunctional, chaotic, lonely, confused. A lot of stuff was going on.
Yeah, they were the ones who were vulnerable
Yes.
and and just desperate for love and
Yeah.
attention and affection, just to feel special, to feel like somebody cared about them.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, Lauren was helping them out, right? They had a lot of problems and they were talking to me about their problems. And then I, or no, not I, but we took an interest in each other.
Yeah, he was helping them. He
Yeah.
was he was the hero, the good guy. It's just like that the pervert at my work. He
Hmm.
made sure his 15-year-old girlfriend went to school.
Yeah. What a guy.
What a good, he was helping.
Yeah.
He was good for her.
Probably had
And
sex
that's,
with her before she went.
well, yeah, he wanted her to have a good day.
Mm, that is true.
He
That
didn't
is true.
want to. He was just
No.
afraid that she would leave him and not go to school anymore
Hmm.
if he didn't have sex with her.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a common way of thinking with these
It is.
pervert.
Yeah, that's the rationalization.
Hmm.
It's turning around. Well, I'm not actually a bad guy. Like this is the reason why I did it.
Hmm.
And
It's
it's
actually
not a
because I'm a
bad
good guy,
reason. Yeah, exactly.
right?
Exactly. So let's see what we have here. Um, the interventions that typically work well for me in this stage are, so we have immediate interventions. Let me see if I can't move this over a little bit. Oh, it's a little cut off. Immediate interventions. You want to read those?
Sure. Number one is get away from the internet. And I am going to agree that that is a good step.
Mm-hmm.
That is a good thing that he can do, because that's where he hunts for
Yeah.
his prey,
Oh,
is
yeah.
the internet. So take away the hunting ground, and which is why they haven't given him permission to go online for
Mm-hmm.
many years, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Um, good job, Lauren. You did good. Number two is play my guitar. A moment of silence for the stupidity of that. That, okay. I mean, how about remember the 5 years in prison I served? That's a good, you know, intervention. Oh, I kind of want to talk dirty to this kid, but I'd rather not go back to prison.
Yeah.
Um, or something like call my treatment provider and tell them that I'm having these thoughts
Mm-hmm.
and need help. Those are rational steps, I think, that
Yeah.
somebody would take. But Lauren chooses to play his guitar and hang out with his dogs.
Spend time with the dogs. I mean, what? Because they're in the room?
Yeah, so right. They were in the room when he was exposing himself to kids too.
Yes. And he was basically telling Bud to get out of the way.
Yeah, I know. I know. And stop taking Kayla's attention, bud. Kayla, look at me and my penis.
Yeah.
God, what an
Yeah, I know,
idiot.
Bud, that you were in the apartment all day and you really want to walk around and go potty, but your mommy's up on the computer.
Bud's looking and saying, "That's my mommy."
Oh my God.
How is spending time with the dogs, which he does all fucking day and night because he's in a
Mm,
tiny trailer with them? I
mm-hmm.
mean, how is that going to prevent him from breaking the law? from breaking this temptation that he had, this trigger to, oh, there's a young girl here, she's talking to me, I really want to talk dirty to her and like try to start a relationship or show her my dick, but dogs, focus on the dogs, I've got my dogs here. It doesn't make any sense. And again, I'm going to say it again and again, it's just late, he's so lazy and stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, these are really stupid answers. I mean, except for the first one, get away from the internet, which he was forced to do.
Yeah, well, and that's practical, but also he didn't say it, I'm sure he didn't say it as in like, I know I can't trust myself on the internet. The
Mm-hmm.
temptation is too much, and I'm going to, make excuses and rationalize what I want to do. So I'm just going to cut the internet out to take away that avenue.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's saying I need to get away from the internet because the internet's bad and it's caused me a world of hurt. Basically, it's the internet's fault.
Yeah, there's bad people on the internet.
That lie to you and
Mm-hmm.
will manipulate you and target you when you're vulnerable. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it's funny too, like play my guitar. Okay. I mean, so every time that you have this thought, you're gonna run in and grab your guitar and start playing. I don't know,
Country
Desperado. Yeah, Country
road.
Roads. That's funny. That's exactly what popped into my head first, but I couldn't think Country Roads, and so I said Desperado. But yeah, Country
Well,
Roads.
maybe Desperado. The funny thing is, though, I think the only time he plays his guitar is to try to impress women or girls.
Yeah, he plays it on his videos.
Right. I doubt he actually spends time alone by himself
Mm-mm.
playing the guitar.
No, I don't think he does. I think when he thinks he's going to do something, like it's working towards something almost, like when he was making his videos, maybe he'll practice. I don't think he just picks it up and plays it that one time, even though he's really just strumming.
Yeah.
He's not really doing very much. He played his guitar for Jamie or
Okay.
Casey. Which one?
Um, I don't know. I can't remember. But when you said that he only does it when he's working towards something, I agree with that because he told Casey in their emails, "Oh, I was just playing my guitar, but I haven't played guitar in a while, so my fingers hurt." And if he was really playing his guitar, he might have just been
Uh,
lying to show off,
yeah.
like, "I play the guitar, by the way." But he might have actually been practicing because he planned to like film himself playing guitar and singing and sending it to Casey,
Yes.
or in case she said, sing something for me, like he wanted to impress her.
Yes.
And he even said, I haven't played the guitar in a long time. So he has
Yeah.
he has
Exactly.
no
Yeah,
reason.
I got that email from you and I picked up my guitar. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty much it. It was all buried in that spare room of his.
Mm-hmm.
I had to dig it out. Yeah. But I mean, just to spend time with the dogs. He doesn't walk them. He doesn't exercise them. He doesn't do anything that I'm aware of. I've never really heard him interact too much with the dogs except for to tell them to stop it or move, something
Yeah.
like that. I mean, it's like, and like also, I mean, there's only so much that a dog is going to want to do to spend time with you, too. Like, it's funny, like, even with my dogs, like, sometimes I feel like, well, I should just get on the floor and sit with them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're going to love it. And they'll like come hang out for a little bit, but then they'll walk away. And I'm like, okay, well, cool. But it's kind of like how much time do you think you're going to spend? It's like, are you going to spend an hour? I mean, that's way too long. It's almost like, how when you have like a young child or a toddler, like the time for things is like really short.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not going to have the attention span. They're not going to want to do things for, a certain amount of time. It's really short. And I think the same thing could be like with dogs. But if you really wanted to like bond with them or spend some really good time, take them for a walk.
Take him for a walk. Take him out in the yard and throw a ball around
Yeah.
for them. But no, he's going to sit in his chair naked,
Yeah.
um, and chain smoke
Hmm.
while watching Three's Company, and the dog is nearby because he lives in a metal box.
Right.
So the dog is always nearby.
Yeah.
That's just stupid.
Well, let's continue with the stupid. So now we have long-term interventions, setting goals for lifestyle changes. So what's the first one?
The first one is don't go in chat rooms.
Okay, check.
Yes, again, good. He says it for the wrong reason, but yes, that is a good long-term um, goal,
Yeah.
for intervention, sure.
Okay.
And then number two is really good. This is a great one. It really makes a lot of sense in the context. A goal so that he does not offend minors anymore is to find a long-term relationship with someone. Is that it? Did it get cut off? Is it
I
just
think that's
someone?
it. Yeah, just someone.
Okay. But I'm going to say that that is not um, a like a surefire intervention because
No.
he had a long-term relationship with Winnie and he was very willing to abuse her daughter. I mean, I know Rhoda wasn't a minor
Mm-hmm.
in the storyline. She was 18 years old,
Yeah.
but it counts. It counts for me. Like maybe it doesn't count legally. You can be legally prosecuted for that, but in this situation, in the sex offender, it's predatory, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
So
Yeah.
it didn't matter. He still having a relationship didn't stop him from being predatory.
Right. And I also think that, with Rhoda, that was over the phone. And he originally was told that she wasn't 18 yet,
Mhm.
and he wouldn't talk to her.
Mhm. Right.
Now, I think a lot of that had to do with the thing happening over the phone. I think
Right.
that, again, there's only so much that he'll do. He does a lot of shocking things on the phone.
Mhm.
But when it comes to something like that, I don't think he would openly engage with a minor over the phone when he
Right.
knows the reality is he could very well be recorded.
Definitely. Definitely. Also, I think his polygraphs come into play there.
Yes.
So if they asked him, "Have you been talking to a minor? Have you, had any interactions with a minor?" He knows he would obviously fail if
Yes.
he was talking to a minor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So I agree
definitely.
with that.
Yeah.
I agree. If a catfish said, "This is my 13-year-old daughter and she wants to talk to you," I don't think he would go for that.
No, I don't think he would. But when they met,
Right. That's a different
that's a
story. Yeah.
different story because then he's more in control of
Hmm.
that situation.
Hmm.
So certainly, yeah. And then the final one.
He said he is going to continue practicing the word no. I just pictured him standing in front of the mirror saying, "No, no, no,
Oh my gosh,
nope."
I thought the same thing. Just saying in different
Yeah.
ways, repeating it over and over
Yeah.
again. Yeah. Yeah. What?
Uh, so stupid.
I know.
Say no to what, Lauren? Say no to what? To the kids who you want to molest?
To
To,
everyone who's using him.
okay. Okay, tell them no. That'll fix it.
Yes, exactly. You know what's interesting about these is that the first portion where he's talking about the immediate interventions, get away from the internet. Then the second part, don't go into chat rooms. But yet he's been fighting so hard to get back on the internet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So here you're talking about this is a high risk situation for you to be in, is to be on the internet. And you're also now wanting so badly to get back on there. Now he'll say it's because he has to keep an eye on us,
Mm-hmm.
and what everyone's saying. And because probation has kept him off of it, he had no idea what was going on out here.
Yeah, I mean, they just told him that Ramona was recording
Yeah, and
their
he heard it
calls, and
himself.
I know,
He
such a
knew.
liar.
I know, he's such a liar. But he'll say that's the reason, but really It's just a way for him to get back on the internet, to not be monitored so that he can go wherever he would like to. And that's a really, really dangerous position for him to be in.
Hmm. Well, because that's his only prospects for love are going to come from being online. He can't go out in the real world and meet a woman. He knows that. Nobody wants him, first of all. Second of all, he's on a registered on a sex offender registry. He's too bashful and goofy, and he's not going to meet anybody in person. Somebody would have to fall into his lap, and he's just not going to be lucky enough for that. So online, again, that's his hunting ground, and he thinks that's what the internet is. It's 50% um, chat rooms, people looking for other people to talk to, or like looking for a relationship, and the other half is just us talking about him. And then
We
there's
are
like eBay.
50% of the internet. Yes.
Yeah. It'd be 40%, and then 10% is eBay.
Okay. Yes. No, definitely. I mean, the way that he talks about people from the internet, not even just like us, but when
Hmm.
he's talking about, somebody like Carter or
Yeah,
Sheffrey, I mean, those, what does he call them? Internet motherfuckers?
yeah, because they're just looking for a woman to fuck. They're just
Yeah.
looking for a girlfriend.
Yeah.
That's the
Exactly. And
only
if you're
reason.
right, and if you're talking to his woman, that's what you're looking for with
Yeah,
her.
they're trying to steal her away from him
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
everyone at all times. It's like with Alex Jones with Casey.
Mhm.
Um, Lauren's like, well, he can only be hanging out with you because he likes you. Why doesn't he have his own girlfriend? What, he can't find his own woman? Like everybody in the world at all times is looking for a romantic partner.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever content being single for a moment.
No.
And then he suggested that Casey try to hook Alex up with one of her girlfriends.
Of course.
Because again, he doesn't have a girlfriend. Of course he wants a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Everybody wants.
Yeah. It's just like how he's more comfortable when the men around his girlfriend are attached to somebody else, like
Hmm.
Dan with Emma, Will with who is Will with?
Maggie, Maggie Jo. Well, Maggie Jo at one point, but then Will had a girlfriend called Tara Bell.
Tara Bell, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he was totally fine when
Hmm.
they were attached to somebody else. But, if that person's single like Carter, uh-uh.
He obviously wants to steal Lauren's woman.
Obviously. Obviously. So yeah, so rationalizations, yeah. Lauren rationalizes.
Hmm.
Absolutely. So let's move on to the next one. So, what we have here is called pattern interruption assignment.
Okay.
So, the first question, are you offending now? If you're not, what's keeping you from offending? Amanda James, take it away.
Okay, this is a great one. No, because I'm able to think straight again.
And that's it.
And that's it. That is it.
It's the
And this
entire way.
this excuse drives me crazier than anything. I think this one makes me more angry than the whole I was only talking to her sexually because I thought that's what she wanted, or
Hmm.
you know, all of it. When he said I wasn't thinking straight, I was messed up at the time. I just weren't thinking about anything. I just weren't even thinking. He acts like he was in a coma,
Yeah.
and he like his brain was completely damaged to the point where he had zero free will at all. Like he was a zombie, like a sleepwalker.
Yeah.
What do you mean you can think straight again? He was thinking straight at that time because, and again, this is where I'd pull out the chat log and be like, on page 42, paragraph 3, you said, I would point out you were thinking straight because you were thinking of ways to not get caught.
Yeah.
You know, you were planning. You weren't just not think. If you weren't thinking and it didn't even occur to you that this was wrong or that you were doing something illegal or that this girl was a child, then you wouldn't be talking about ways to get around getting caught by her parents or the police or, somebody else finding out about it.
Right.
So again, that's an F. You fail, Lauren. Fail.
Well, it's interesting too because sometimes he'll say, I'm able to think straight again. And then other times he'll say, I'm getting back to thinking straight again.
Hmm.
Or I'm working toward thinking straight again. It's always like either it's done and he's closed that book and he's not looking back, or he's not quite there.
Yeah, well, again, he talks about not being able to think straight. This was not just, even with Kayla, it went on for a month, which is a very long period of time to not be thinking straight. But it wasn't just limited to that. He had been doing it for years at that
Oh,
point.
yeah, definitely.
But
Definitely.
he doesn't include the real victims in any of this stuff.
No, no. And
I don't think so. I don't think he had even mentioned the real girls yet. He
oh,
was
no.
he was trying to act like it was a one-time thing, just the
Yeah.
decoy.
Yeah. And I think also with a question like this, I mean, certainly he's going to want to distance himself as much as possible. Like,
Hmm.
no, absolutely not. I am definitely not offending again. Don't, give me a polygraph on that, but I'm not doing it.
Right. I think a good answer would be no. I'm not offending now. I'm learning a lot in my treatment class here. I have people that I can talk to if I need help. I'm recognizing my own patterns of abuse and trying not to repeat them. Anything, but I can think straight now.
Well, at least he didn't say, I know how to say no now.
Yeah, but that's what I'm surprised he didn't say that.
I
I'm
know.
very, very surprised he didn't say that.
I know. He had a lot of room to take up. He just didn't,
Hmm.
he didn't want to, I
Lazy.
guess.
Yep, laziness.
So then the second one is, what inappropriate fantasies are you having?
None.
That's it.
Not even one
Not even one.
inappropriate fantasy.
No, not even the ones that piss him off so he has to stop masturbating.
Yeah, not even the ones about the girls in high school.
Yeah,
Not even or about the little girl on the TV shows.
yeah.
None.
Nope. Just over and
Don't
done
you
with.
dare suggest otherwise.
Next question. I will not entertain that one any longer.
Hmm.
So this one says, do you think you're cruising for victims or grooming anyone?
He said no, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but I would say anytime Lauren had internet access, he was cruising for victims.
Yeah, yeah. Because
So
wasn't there a question about him specifically using the internet for media
on
for
the
first?
polygraph,
Yeah.
yes. Well, the question was, are you looking for images of minors on the internet or media, like any form of media for sexual stimulation?
Okay.
And he failed that question.
Right.
And I don't think he was allowed on the internet at the time. I can't remember. It all gets blurred up together.
Right.
I know he was allowed back on the internet for a minute at least, but he had to get special permission to do the Zoom call with
Yes.
the girls.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, anytime he's on the internet, he's cruising, he's looking for victims. I mean, look, when he was selling stuff on eBay, he with the Justine calls, I
Uh-huh.
don't think he was trying to groom Justine or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if you're trying to sell something, you sell it. You don't engage in an hour, whatever, long conversation with someone. Um, or oh, there was so I don't know if anybody's ever talked about this, but there was a time when he was getting those scam emails from someone, who they would say like, "Oh, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but I was friends with your cousin Ricky in high school, and I always thought you were really cute," or something like that. And then the person responds, and it just keeps responding with kind of nonsensical things, but it's like, well, I would really love to meet up and get together sometime, and then it will send like little video clips or pictures of very beautiful half naked women. So that Lauren was getting those. That was happening to him, and he thought he was really talking to this woman, and he tried to use that to make Jamie and Casey jealous.
Oh, right.
Hmm.
Now, did he believe that they were real people?
Yes.
He did. Okay. So he wasn't
Yes.
just like he knew that they were fake, but he was just sending them the videos just to pretend, but
He
he really thought they were.
he really thought it was a real woman. He never sent the videos or the messages to Jamie or Casey. I don't think
Okay.
he did. I'm
Okay.
sure they tried to get him to because it would be hilarious to
Yeah.
see what he said. But yes, he thought it was a real woman. And he's like, I had a beautiful woman sending me pictures and videos. She just started emailing me and she was wearing next to nothing. Like he thought it was real for sure.
Oh, that is gorgeous.
Hmm.
And wasn't one of his threats that he was going to go on a dating app?
Oh yeah. Yes, it was. He said, I think he said that his like probation and all those people were encouraging him
Mm-hmm.
to go on a dating app, which is terrifying
Oh,
if
yeah.
true.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, that should be a term of his probation that he's not allowed to go on dating apps.
I know.
Or if he does, then he should have to um like put in his little bio thing or whatever, hey, by the way, I'm a registered sex offender. I'm a felon and a registered sex offender on lifetime probation.
Yeah, if there was like a section of the profile that had like websites or something or like social media, he would have to post his registry.
Yes. Oh my God, that they really should do that.
Yeah.
Because I remember I Googled, are sex offenders allowed on, Tinder and the big dating apps? I don't remember if I got an answer. I think probably like in their terms that no, they're not,
Uh huh.
but there's no way for them to really enforce that.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think that would be pretty much impossible to do.
Impossible, yeah. Which
Yeah.
is why it should fall to probation to enforce it.
Sure, absolutely. And I think it also just demonstrates that everyone needs to be diligent on their own behalf,
Hmm.
and to not just take somebody's word for it, especially if you're just dating,
Yeah,
because you just never know.
definitely. And I can't, I really just can't believe that probation would encourage that or even permit it because kids go on, all kinds of sites and apps that
Sure.
under 18s aren't allowed on. They do it all the time.
Yeah. No, that is true. That is true. I mean, perhaps their encouragement of him is just as accurate as when they said he can get out of the class when he has a relationship.
Hmm.
I mean, because that doesn't make sense either, and that's not what they said.
No, of course not.
So, maybe when he asked them about going on an app and they just started laughing and they're
Yeah,
just like, oh, Lorne. And they just like
good
walked
one.
away. Yeah, good
Hmm.
one. And he's like,
Good
oh, yeah.
idea, Lauren. Like all sarcastic, like, oh, great idea. Do
Yeah.
that.
And he's like, awesome, doing it.
I wish he did.
Oh my God.
I wish he did.
That would be crazy. I don't know.
I would be very interested to see um, how many like swipes he gets or what pictures he would use of himself. I know there was
Yeah.
a time when he was sending pictures, I think it was to Jane, and he had a filter on his pictures.
He did?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I guess maybe Reborn hasn't said anything about, maybe he has, I don't know. But Absolutely. He sent pictures where he his face was filtered so it looked super smooth, no wrinkles.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, and we know that there are wrinkles for sure.
Oh my God, that's funny. I
Mhm.
remember seeing at least one picture that it's like sticking out in my mind where it's like kind of close. It's like close to his face.
Mhm.
And his skin does look pretty smooth. And I was like, I'm really confused by this.
Yeah, it's filtered.
Like, wow, that's not Lauren. But yeah, that's really funny to hear that it's a filter.
I'm not surprised at all.
Wow.
I could totally picture him, like his profile pictures on the dating apps would be all him doing kissy faces with that filter
Oh
on,
my
with his hat
gosh.
sitting way up on his head and his sunglasses.
Maybe backwards. Do you think he'd wear his
Maybe,
hat backwards?
maybe it's pretty cool. Casey thought it was cool, so look young and cool. His mouth is closed in every picture.
Yeah, if he's going to have his headset.
Yeah. Oh, of course. That shows how cool he is and how much people want to talk to him. And smiling without the teeth in every picture. But you can still see that big tooth poking through. It's,
Just the bottom of it.
yes. Yeah.
Oh my God. So, do you think, okay, so let's talk about his pictures for a sec, because I think this is
Okay.
pretty funny. So, do you think that he would wear one with a tank top?
I absolutely do. And he would be flexing without looking like, trying to not
Uh huh.
show that he's actually flexing. He would like, you know what I mean? Like he'd have his muscles all um
Like tense?
tense, yeah, to try to look because he I think is very impressed with his own arms. He
Yes,
thinks
I
he has
agree.
very attractive like arms and
Yeah.
shoulders. So absolutely. And I think he'd probably take one wearing his dress up clothes.
Oh.
Um, the like that shirt, the striped shirt with the
The
big
one that's
wide
really
collar.
huge on him?
Yes. Yeah. And he'd have the first several buttons unbuttoned because that's really sexy. And oh, I have it all in my head now. I know exactly what he would do. And he would take pictures in the mirror without giving any thought at all to all the shit that's surrounding him and
Oh
in the
my
background of the pictures.
God.
He'd
Yes.
have like his ashtray that's overflowing with cigarette butts and um, there's like a big pile of dog hair right there and a toilet, just a toilet
Yeah.
in the middle of the room. Um, yes, that would be wonderful.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
I would encourage him to go on a dating app too, now that I think about it, just so I could look at it and laugh.
Well, here's what's going to happen. We're going to sign you up for all of them.
Okay.
Okay. And
Maybe I'm
then,
already on them.
oh. Well, in that case, we're going to sacrifice you.
Oh, great. No.
We have got to find the profiles.
I know. I don't know what goes into creating one. Like, there must be some verification. There is, right? There's like a verification
I
process.
have no idea.
Yeah, I have gone on them, but it's been a very long time. Um, yeah, I think you need to verify that it's really you somehow. Or you don't need to, but
Yeah, I don't know how
um,
you would. I mean,
like take a picture of your ID or something. I don't
oh,
know. I feel like that is something that I don't know. Maybe I just made that up. Maybe I shouldn't talk because I don't actually know what I'm talking about. But
well, I could see there being some type of like in the terms and conditions, you're being truthful type of thing. Like that's really
oh yeah,
you and all of that.
because I was thinking it would be really fun to create one for Lauren with his pictures and see what happens.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Has somebody already done that?
probably.
Okay. Well, if anyone's done that, let us know and let us know the results.
Oh, I think I, I he might get mad at me for saying so, but I think Blue Boy did.
Okay.
Um, and I think he got. Oh fuck, now I don't remember. I think he did get a match.
Oh, okay. That's
Um,
scary.
but I think it was like a 60-year-old lady or something.
Oh,
Like it was an older gal, an older lady, I think. I don't know.
hmm.
Blue Boy,
So
if
it
you
was
watch
like,
this, tell us what happened.
yeah, exactly. We must know.
Hmm.
We must.
But
Hmm.
I think, as far as my memory goes, he only had one match.
And that's because she also swiped, right? Is that what happened? It
Yeah.
wasn't just like matched with him for whatever
Oh,
reason.
or a like or something. I
Okay.
don't think, I don't know what the app was actually. I don't know that it was like a swipe app. I think it's more like you just like the pictures of the person, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. We need to find out because I can't remember.
Wow. Yeah, she looked at Laura and said, "That is a doofy baby."
Yep, that's a country boy right
That's a
there.
country boy
Right
right
there.
there. Yeah, look at that headset. He likes to talk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, let's get back to business over
Okay.
here.
I know. 2 hours later.
I know exactly. How could you control your inappropriate fantasies? If you say you aren't having any, then how could you control them if they started? So, what did he say?
Lauren says, not having any by evaluating my behavior and start saying no again. There it is. I would also pull out this book and read through what has happened before and what I went through. Um, that is upsetting. That makes me mad. What I went through
Hmm.
because he had a little bit of like a half of a point in there.
Okay.
Obviously, the start saying no again is fucking stupid.
Yes.
It doesn't apply. We're just gonna erase it. But he said that he would pull out the book and read through, and that's a good idea, right? Like read through his rationalizations for, just read through it. That's what it's for, to
Uh-huh.
help him think about this and answer these kinds of questions and think about it the right way. But he failed, obviously, because he's going to pull out the book to remind himself of what he's been through,
Yeah.
not what I did wrong, what I put other people through. The damage I inflicted to other people is the damage that was inflicted to me.
Yes. And
I mean,
do you think
uh,
he's ever pulled this book out and looked at it for a single moment when he didn't
no,
have to?
he pulled it out to show his catfish,
Yeah.
but no, I don't think he's read a word of it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Absolutely not. And even if he's saying like I would I would pull the book out to remind me of my time in prison and being on probation, and if that were enough to keep people from reoffending, then people wouldn't reoffend. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's not how it works.
Right.
People find, they just become sneakier. The It's not enough to say, well, I don't feel like going back to prison again,
Yeah.
or else that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, exactly. The drive is too strong for
Hmm.
something flimsy like that.
Yeah.
He would have to have, a real desire to not want to hurt somebody, not just to not go to prison, because you're right. All he's going to do is to try not to go to prison. That,
Right.
that'll be his focus. That was his focus the first time.
Right. The focus isn't don't hurt people, don't commit crimes. It's don't get caught.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. So, the next one, what would you do if you noticed you were cruising, collecting material for inappropriate fantasies or grooming? Discuss what you could do to interrupt all three of these.
Lawrence said that he would think about the outcome of my actions the first time and start thinking of something that would have a better outcome for my life. Again, I think that's just lazy.
Yeah, much the same that
Yeah.
he's already said. Yeah.
Hmm.
If you know, see, that's the thing is that he would have to notice that he was doing it and that it was a problem.
Hmm.
And he would also have to tell himself that he doesn't want to continue with the problem. There would have to be some sort of a desire there for him not to do it. And it would have to overcome his desire to do it, which
Yeah.
isn't there.
Right. That's not how it works. It's like with Rhoda, I'm sure he knew what he was doing was wrong, even though she wasn't a minor.
Mm-hmm.
She was his girlfriend's daughter, and she was obviously brain dead.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure he knew it's wrong to do that, but he wanted to. He
Yeah.
enjoyed it. He got
Mm-hmm.
enjoyment out of it. And instead of saying to himself, what I'm doing is wrong, I'm going to interrupt this, he made excuses for it and turned himself into the hero again. I didn't want to talk sexually to Rhoda. I only did it because she was going to do drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want her to do drugs.
Yep. So he was gonna save her.
Yeah. Again, I didn't want to do it. I had to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get any enjoyment out of talking sexually to this kid.
Yeah. So let's see if it gets better.
Okay.
What would you do if you began to plan an offense or an inappropriate sexual interaction?
Think about the outcome of my actions the first time. Okay, we're just going to repeat the last answer verbatim.
Yeah, it is verbatim.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And then think of the feelings of family and friends and what it would do to anyone that would be, quote unquote, the victim. Taking care of dog, reading books. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He did spell it right. Writing books, um, singing and playing guitar. So he would think about it for a minute and think about how he would get in trouble.
Mm.
And then think about what his mother would think if he got in trouble again. Probably think about the quote unquote victim a little bit,
Yeah.
how it would make them feel. And then he would take care of dog and write some more books and sing some songs.
Yeah. He would just have a normal day.
That's a good plan.
It's an excellent plan. And how irritating is it that he puts quote unquote the victim?
I know, absolutely. Yeah. Because he doesn't see them as victims.
I
He
know.
really doesn't.
Yeah.
And he can't even pretend
No.
just for the sake of looking like he's progressing in the class. He can't even pretend.
No, because if he acknowledged that he had victims, then he would have to acknowledge that he was the predator.
Right.
And he can't do that. It's not just a misunderstanding.
Right. I mean, if I were his treatment provider, I would question him about that. What's with the quotations, Lauren? It would be a victim.
Yeah.
It is a victim.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, though, all of this singing and playing of the guitar, he could be a star.
I know. It just shows how small his world is and how he has nothing. He has no like hobbies or
Yeah.
friends or anything. So when people say, well, what are you going to do besides molest children? Right? Because you can't do that anymore. So what else are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to sing and play guitar with my dog.
Yeah. It reminds me of when he was coming up with the itinerary.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
he had like blocks, like massive blocks of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like from, 10 to 12, we're going to do yoga.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
then
know.
1 to 3,
Dance.
we're going to dance.
We're going to
Yeah.
dance in the living room for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then from 3 to 4:45, we're going to take a shower.
Yes.
I know. From 10 a.m. to 12:30, we're going to play with the dog.
I know.
Imagine Lauren doing yoga for more than 3 minutes.
That's the thing. That's what's so funny. It's like, how
Mhm.
long do you think these things take?
Yeah, even yoga classes, like hardcore people who do yoga and are good at it and know what they're doing, they're like an hour max.
Sure.
Nobody,
You don't
nobody
do
does.
it for 2 or 3 hours. I mean, Jesus.
No.
Yeah.
But then again, he has no idea what yoga is. No
True.
idea.
He just
Um,
likes the pants.
he does like the yoga outfit. He has no idea. It's like when he was looking for stuff to do with Casey, he said they could do chair yoga at his local yoga studio, and had no idea that, I mean, it's in the name. It's chair. What does he think it means? Balancing a chair on your head, or
You're going to do handstands on it.
right, doing hands. It's for old people who
Yeah.
can't crouch down to the ground. It's you're literally sitting in a chair and like stretching your neck.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah, you're doing it's the chair aerobics with Sylvester Stallone.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
I mean,
It's for
yeah.
elderly
Yeah,
people.
it's for people who have to sit down,
Yeah,
but
that's
still
another.
need to get exercise.
That's so funny. This is off topic, but it makes me laugh how Lorne's whole world is just old people. He doesn't
It
know anyone
is.
his age. So he talks about elderly people all the time. And
Yeah.
like when he was trying to convince Casey to move to Maine, he said they should move down to the coast and she could open a dance studio down there because there's a lot of elderly people who want to learn how to dance.
I mean, but where is his market research coming from?
Again, it's because he doesn't know anybody but old people.
No, but that's
So
true. But it's like, okay, there's a lot of old people that want to learn how to dance. How do you know that?
yeah, there aren't.
Sure.
There just aren't. Oh,
Exactly.
does his mother come to him and say, "Lon, you know what I wanted to do today? I was gonna play cards with your aunt Charlene, but I want to learn to dance. I wish there was a dance studio in Conville."
Well, there it is. I stand corrected.
You're talking stupid.
Oh my God. Your friend in Florida.
Your friend in Florida. I love Mama Gwen's
I
voice.
do
I love
too.
her accent.
What? In the yard sale calls, you just hear like in the
I know.
background.
Lon, shut up. You're talking stupid. Get your head out of your ass.
I got a strong man here.
I'm going to do yoga on my ass in my chair.
Berries?
That's one of my favorite.
Oh gosh.
Berries.
Graham crackers? Oh, Mama Gwen. Jeez.
She's been through hell. Don't make fun of her.
She has. She's been through more than anyone else ever has. And she can't. What did he say? She's the sweetest as can be, or something like that.
She's so sweet. She really is. Lon, what? You're talking bullshit, Lon.
Yep, bye.
Love you, mother dear. Yeah, whatever. She's so sweet. Good job. She's so
Oh my.
sweet, loving, nurturing. It's like it's like how Lauren makes up everybody else's feelings and like creates the person in his head. He did the same for his mother, and we know what he like fantasizes his mother was like
Yeah.
because he wrote it in Taken Abroad. that, that's his fantasy mom.
Oh my God, it
And
is.
his real mom, I think, is real far from that. Oh, God.
Oh my God. When you say, yep, whatever, it just killed me. Oh my God. I can't get out of my head. Okay. We're talking
You
about
know
something
that's the
serious.
secret.
I know. No, that is true. She's like, whatever.
Okay.
Shit. Anyway,
Okay.
we're talking about a sex offender.
I know.
Oh, God. So let's go on to the next one, shall we?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So the next one we're talking about prevention of a relapse. So these questions have to do with what could have prevented him in the past. So thinking about what he did. Oh my God. I hate when I start laughing because then I can't stop. Okay.
Okay.
So this is for like what could have stopped him from the very beginning.
Oh, I bet we can't guess what his answers will be.
Well, absolutely. Um, so the first question is, what things were happening for you mentally, physically, emotionally around you before committing your offense? So what did he say?
He said, I was being used by some family members and friends for money. Uh, oh my God. I'm sorry. I thought that said meatball. I did.
Oh my God. If he outlined the entire story of his siblings, that would be amazing.
Oh, I know. Instead, he said, mentally, it drained me to the point where I could not think straight. Physically, it drained me because all my energy was into my mental and emotional state of mind. Emotionally, I was drained because I realized they were using me for my money, but I couldn't figure out how to say, quote unquote, no. So he was physically drained
Yeah.
from this.
Yeah. Yeah,
He
he
was
could
just
barely
going,
stand.
yeah, he was bedridden.
It was bedridden. Yeah, exactly. He could barely get up. He had such a hard time because he couldn't understand why he was being used.
And he couldn't make his mouth say the word no.
No, no,
It
he
just
sure
wouldn't
couldn't.
work.
He sure couldn't. So yeah,
So that's
that's
really
what was
stupid.
happening to him before he offended.
You know what he probably should have included, what was happening to him before, was that he took on a job that he was not qualified for with a
Uh,
team of people who were not qualified to complete it, and he gave up mid job and took the money and never repaid the money. So he had to run away where he wouldn't be caught, but he left that part out.
he did. Yeah, those are just details.
Well, maybe that's what he means when he says I was being used by people for money, because his family and friends didn't give him back the money that he gave them when he realized that he needed to pay bills and like buy more materials and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's definitely part of it. I know that he was pretty upset, I think, that whoever he gave money to didn't give any back when he found out that he got himself into trouble.
What an idiot.
I know. I know. Everyone's like, nope, sorry.
Of
Can't
course.
help you.
Yeah, he wanted to look like a big shot, dishing out that money.
Yeah.
When they probably already spent it anyway.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, he was definitely the type that I think was wanting to be the big shot. He was
Hmm.
wanting to have them come to him like the Godfather,
Yeah,
you know?
the
Um,
Codfather.
oh, the Godfather. Yes, exactly. But that's true. I mean, he wanted to be looked at like that,
Hmm.
because I think for so long, when he was younger, nobody gave a shit.
Yeah.
They didn't care. But now that he has some money, and I don't know how much money that would have been. I don't think we're talking like a great sum of money.
I think Betty said she gave them like either 10 or 20,000 to start
Yes.
and then another big chunk of money. So, I mean, according to her it was 30,000 in
Mm-hmm.
total.
Yes, it was 30. And then when all was said and done, um, when they went to mediation, well, when Betty went to mediation, I don't think Lauren was there. Lauren had
And
nothing to do
yeah.
with it. But they had agreed on 20,000 to pay back because 10,000 would have been materials that she still had.
Mhm.
So, um, yeah, I mean, $20,000 just, in that one. And he basically didn't get away with anything.
No, I know. He had nothing. He had no money when he went to Nashville. He
Right.
had, when he got down there, he was completely broke.
Yeah.
So say 20,000 of it ended up in his pocket, and he did spend 10 on materials, which I highly doubt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he didn't. How many people were on the crew? It was Lauren,
Tony.
Tony, Paul,
I think Paul.
and Richard, maybe.
I think maybe Ralph and Richard may
Oh,
have played a little bit of a role. I can't remember which one. It was either one or the other, or maybe both.
yeah. So it was either 4 or 5 people on the crew there. So, yeah, say there was five, then they each got 4 grand. And he just wanted to look like the big shot, handing out a big check
Yeah.
without realizing that the job isn't anywhere close to completed and it costs a lot of money in materials.
Hmm.
And he didn't know what he was doing
No,
on
he
top
didn't
of it,
know.
of
He
course.
did not know what he was doing.
Yeah, Betty
That's really what
said
it comes down with.
they stood in her yard and like threw 2x4s around for a while and chain smoked.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe it.
Me too, definitely.
Yeah. So let's see. What choices did you make that led you to committing your offenses?
Going on the internet to look for someone who might care about me instead of my money. In the end, it was talking to what I believed was an underage girl about my problems and thinking she was old enough to understand. Who's he talking about here? Because he didn't talk to, that is not what was happening. Again, refer to the chat log. We're
Mm-hmm.
going to refer to it because that's not true. I don't think he was, there's a grain of truth in saying going on the internet look for someone who might care about me. And it was, you know, I mean, cross out the whole instead of my money thing. He didn't have any money.
No.
So that is just completely nonsensical and
Yeah.
stupid to even say. Um, he was looking for a girlfriend on the internet because
Mm-hmm.
that's what the internet is. It's
Yes.
to look for girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but no, it wasn't because he was just so sad and, alone because of what his family had done. It's because he's just a desperate pervert who had never had a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I think Lauren and a lot of people, once the internet, became really widespread, it's much easier to talk to people of the opposite sex online than it is in person, of
Mm-hmm.
course. So I think a lot of people saw that as their like, oh, this is my ticket to find somebody. That's what I'm going to use the internet for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the whole thing about talking to her about his problems, he did not. He talked about his penis, not his problems.
Right. Yeah. I think very briefly he would have
Hmm.
mentioned something like, about finding a job and, he's got to do this and that, but really no. He didn't
No,
talk about his problems. What he called his siblings idiots,
yeah,
right? That's the
yeah,
depth of what he said.
yeah. He said, my siblings used me, and now I won't be there for them next time they need me. That's all.
Right.
He didn't go into detail about any of it. In
Mhm.
fact, he tried to make his life look a lot better than it actually was.
Yeah.
To, oh, I just quit my job today. Oh, no big deal. I'll just get another one.
Yeah, in
Um,
fact, isn't it going to be better now that I quit my job?
right. He didn't talk to her about his problems.
No. No. In according to what he said to her, he was fine sleeping on the floor.
Yeah, it's comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, he needs a
God.
bed. Goodness. Okay. So then describe situations in the past that put you at risk to reoffend. How did these situations run you a risk? Wait. Oh, how
Put,
did these situations put you at risk to reoffend?
Lauren said, learning to say no is what could have prevented me from offending. Every time one of my family members, I don't
Came.
know that, oh, came to me with one of their financial problems, I would be there to rescue them with no questions being asked. Okay.
I mean, again, this doesn't make any sense. How did these situations put you at risk? Learning to say no is what could prevent me from offending. That's his answer.
Yeah. I know. It's all the convoluted, twisted, um, he just twisty, turny, curvy way that he tries to rationalize it and not make it all make sense.
Yeah.
I couldn't say no, and they took advantage of that. And that led me to being in such a low place. I was physically drained from it, let me tell you,
Yeah.
that I I tried to have sex with a kid. I don't know how that doesn't make sense to you.
I know. Well, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. It really, really doesn't.
I
All he's
know.
doing is whining about his family and talking about how he was the hero.
Yeah.
I helped them with no questions asked. So what? So what? If somebody said, "Hey, Lauren, how did you get in the position where you had to file bankruptcy
Hmm.
and your car got repoed? How'd you get in that position?" Then to say, "Well, I helped my family anytime. I just couldn't say no if they needed help." That answers that question. Well, partially. It helps answer that question,
Uh-huh.
but it has nothing at all to do with being attracted to a kid. Looking at her picture and saying, "Wow, you're a cutie. I want you to be my girlfriend. Look at my penis."
Oh, yeah.
They have nothing to do with each other. And it's really frustrating
I
that
know.
Lauren, you know, went down this path in his own mind how the two things are connected at all.
I know. It's always going to be the same answer,
Yes, always.
you
I
know?
couldn't say no. My siblings are pieces of shit.
Yeah, he's so
And they asked me for
disgusted with
money.
it.
Absolutely disgusting. They asked me for money and I gave it to them. What scumbags. It's all their fault.
And it's interesting that he says with no questions being asked. There were absolutely questions being asked.
Hmm.
About the meatballs, the deviled
Yeah.
eggs, the mac and cheese, all of that was being asked for. And then he's also disgusted when they didn't do it.
Yeah, I know. I know. Exactly. He wants to act like this selfless hero,
Hmm.
who's just so willing to help everybody. But when they don't worship him, that's what he wanted. He wanted adoration.
Yeah.
Um, he wanted people to, for years and years, to say, "Lauren, remember that time you fixed my furnace? You saved my life. I owe you my life. I couldn't
Yeah.
ask for a better brother. It's a good thing you're so financially successful, and I'm such a piece of shit that you were able to save me in that time."
Yeah. You really are my favorite.
Yeah, but he never talks about the times his family has helped him
Oh, no.
financially. The only reason he has a home is because his uncle or his aunt, whoever, gave him that trailer. I think it was his uncle, right? Didn't he
Yeah.
move in there when his uncle was dying so he could
Yes.
take over the trailer? Yeah.
Yeah. He said it was because he was going to take care of him. But I
Mhm.
think I think the real answer is that his other uncle kicked him out of
Mhm.
where he was living. And if he hadn't received help from Aunt Sharon when he was in prison, Uncle
Mhm.
Clayt would have taken that property.
Oh yeah, I know, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what he had to pay her back for the land
Yeah.
because she paid for it.
Yeah.
But he also talks about how he built himself a house in his sister's driveway.
Oh, yeah.
He built a little shed to live in. And then she got a boyfriend or a fiance or something, and he
Yeah.
had to leave because
Yes.
they didn't want a shack in their driveway.
I mean, who wouldn't?
Of course, I know. I, right. Oh, that the shack over there. My brother lives in that in the driveway. Cars go in the driveway.
Well, Cars and Lorne.
I guess that. Well, that's just how their family does it. Because remember when Lauren was talking to Casey about Grampy and the chicken coop? No, it wasn't Grampy. Grampy Armstrong. No, it was Dale's brother Colby. Colby lived in the chicken shack in the
Yes.
field. And Roy lived in the metal box, the shipping container, for a while in
He
Lauren's
did.
backyard.
Yep, he sure did.
He also lived in a camper. I mean, I guess a camper's better than a chicken shack in a field, a chicken coop, whatever it's
Well,
called.
certainly, I mean, because it's literally for chickens.
Right, I know. They just make shelter in whatever they can.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's funny.
I know. Trying
And
to turn a shipping container into a home. They put a wood stove in there. I think they put a window in it.
yeah, they're always with the windows.
Yeah, that's what makes it a house.
I don't think that he gets windows for when he needs them. I think he finds windows and is like, oh, I'll find a place for that.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Yes. He
Yeah,
finds windows in the trash or from a tear down house. So, again, in the trash,
right.
and finds a use for them.
Yeah.
I remember he had a big stack of windows out in his yard
Yeah,
in one of the
wasn't that
videos.
from the teardown house, probably?
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah. The house he
That's
didn't
another
tear
thing.
down.
Right. I was just about to say his payment for tearing the house down was to keep the materials that he wanted, except for I know the granite, like granite countertops, was one of
Mm-hmm.
the things he was not allowed to take, and he did. Um, I think the windows were something he wasn't allowed to take, and he did. And I believe the hardwood flooring.
Oh, and he took that?
Well, I don't know if he ended up taking it, but I know he said he was going to because I remember he took like the things that were told that he could not take.
Yeah.
There were like three specific things, and he's like, "Oh, the fucking granite's gonna look great in your bathroom." He took them all, and then he never finished the job.
Of
So I
course.
mean, you just stole, you just stole things from this person again.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Hmm.
That whole situation was just weird.
I know. Tear my house down with your bare hands. It's again, it's him taking on a job that he's not qualified for,
Right.
even destroying something he's not qualified for,
Right. I mean,
because the place was supposed to be like torn down, all the debris cleared away, which cost thousands and thousands of dollars.
sure.
You get big dumpsters in there,
Mm-hmm.
they charge you like by the pound or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They charge by weight, and it would be incredibly expensive to get
Yeah.
all that debris out of there. And then have it like the foundation. What the fuck are you gonna do with the foundation, Lauren? Are you gonna get a sledgehammer? And then it was supposed to be like level, the ground leveled out, all things that he absolutely could not do.
No.
And all he saw was their junk in there that he could steal.
Yeah, he could steal it, sell it, use it for his own place. He was going to
Hmm.
take the foundation from that house and use it for the foundation of his house.
Oh, that would make it a real house.
Yeah.
Finally,
I know.
the trailer house.
Oh, goodness. Well, let's see this next one. How did you try to stop yourself from reoffending? Why did or didn't it work?
I tried to stop myself from reoffending by telling myself that I was not really going to meet the girl, so it didn't hurt to keep talking to her. Eventually, it didn't work because I felt bad that I told her I would meet her, but I wasn't really going to. So, to not hurt her feelings, I went to meet her.
So the date on this is 2014.
Oh, we're talking about reoffending.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was his original offense. It wasn't reoffending. I mean, it was because we know that he did have real victims
Yeah.
before, but he hasn't said that. So I think he misunderstood the question
Yeah, I
and should
think,
have said, I
yeah,
haven't reoffended.
right, right.
But again, just more bullshit. I never wanted to do anything bad. I'm the good guy. I didn't want to hurt her
Yeah.
feelings.
Yeah, I guess this would have to do with, because they're talking about the past. Like, even though
Hmm.
it says reoffending, what I suppose it could just be, how did you try to stop yourself from offending?
No, yeah. Well, he didn't answer that question either.
He sure didn't. So now we have a worksheet about the future, relapse prevention questions, future. So, what things would be a sign for you that you may be moving to a potential offense? Include physical feelings, thoughts, emotions, and things going on around you.
What is he going to say? I can't even guess. Getting used by friends and family, feeling like I don't matter. Thoughts at thoughts of disgust, such as why would they only come see me for money and not for me alone? Feeling drained or what does this say? Feeling drained or can you read that word?
um, I can't.
Okay, feeling
Yeah.
it's probably stupid anyway. Feeling drained or breaking down and crying when I'm alone and thinking about being used. Wow, he's laser focused right now.
He's really emotional, Amanda James.
Mhm.
He's sensitive.
He is literally saying that this that will make him molest a kid.
Yes, that's
Getting
exactly
used,
what
but
happened.
yeah, getting if I get used by my friends and family again and I feel bad about myself and feel like I don't matter because of what they did with me to me
Yeah.
will will cause me to molest a kid.
Yeah. Yeah,
Thoughts of
exactly.
disgust.
So him not reoffending means that everyone else has to behave themselves. Don't you
Hmm.
dare take advantage of that man. He's going to hurt
Yeah,
a child.
if you ask him for money, he's gonna molest a kid.
Yeah.
He can't control it, and it's your fault now.
Yeah.
That is crazy. What a ridiculous response.
Oh, God. Okay, let's see here. So the next one, what do you still need to change? In the way you think, your behavior, sexual thoughts, relationships, family, the way you deal with emotions.
The way I want to be there for family, thinking that they might care for me without money, wanting a one night stand, how to get past my feeling of shame from exposure so I can have a relationship, do more meditating so I can stay focused.
Well, Lorne hasn't meditated for a single moment in his life.
I really don't think he even knows what that means.
I agree. I agree.
When, so he needs to change. What does he need to change about his um this is all relating to pedophilia, remember?
Uh huh.
What do you need to change about your sexual thoughts towards minors, right? I need to change the fact that I want to be there for my family and thinking that they might actually care about me. Okay, that is stupid. And then wanting a one night stand again has nothing to you can have as many one night stands with adult women as you want, not the problem. Has nothing to do with what we're talking about here.
And he doesn't
And
want
then
that either.
no, he doesn't. He wants to lock it down, get married, have sleepovers with my mom, have a baby. Absolutely. Yeah. He's never wanted a one night stand. He's the most obsessive, like love struck person I've
Yes.
ever seen. Then he says, how to get past my feeling of shame from exposure so I can have a relationship. Good luck.
Good luck with that.
Good luck with that one. Not going to happen. It's immortalized for the rest of time. Your
Yeah.
shame is there for everyone to watch for the rest of time.
Yeah. So that you can have a relationship. I mean, it's not about his feeling of shame from exposure that is
Hmm.
stopping him from having a relationship. I mean, that's not the problem. The exposure is not the problem.
Hmm.
The RSO status for the rest of his life is the problem. His crime is the problem.
Right. He should it should be the shame of committing a crime, not being caught committing it. That's what he's ashamed of, is that, it's because he was caught and because everybody saw. It's not because he did something terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. And also about having a relationship. I mean, I think that if someone were to be willing to have a relationship with a sex offender like Lauren, I would be so interested to know what the hell that person is thinking.
They totally exist
Oh,
too.
sure they do. Yeah, definitely. That's how kids get murdered.
Hmm.
They get,
Absolutely.
they get kidnapped by mom's boyfriend or somebody living on their property because the
Hmm.
family said that everyone deserves a second chance.
Yeah, I think it's probably women who have very, very low self-esteem
Mhm.
and are just desperate for a man.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like backwards with Winnie. Like Lauren would put up with anything from Winnie because he was so desperate for a woman.
Mhm.
That's all that matters. No normal person would want anything to do with Winnie. She was insane. She was
Yeah.
violent and unpredictable and disgusting.
Yeah.
And Lauren was willing to put up with it because it was a woman. And there are definitely women like that too, who will put up with anything from a man just to keep a man.
Yeah. Oh, certainly. It's really sad.
Hmm.
But I
Well, it's
would
even
mhm.
like you said, it's even sadder when there are kids involved because the women do,
Yeah.
knowingly put their kids in danger
Yes.
for a man, and that's a lot of um, like pedophiles target women with children. Like
Sure.
they target that specific kind of woman to
Mhm.
get at the kids.
Mhm. Yeah, it's really sad. I hate hearing stories like that.
Hmm.
I hate it. Yeah, a child goes missing. Oh, I wonder why.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then you start peeling back the layers on that story. Oh, yeah, mom's boyfriend's been molesting her for years.
Hmm. And the worst thing is, I mean, there are times when mom knows about it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. So, certainly his shame from exposure, I mean, he's making it seem like that's what's stopping him from meeting people.
Hmm.
And, I can see that being difficult. I mean, that would be nearly impossible. I mean, first of all, you don't know what somebody's reaction is going to be.
Hmm.
And he doesn't want to deal with that. He wants to
Right.
live in his bubble, he wants to feel safe. And that's why I think all of his phone relationships have happened because every single person that he's been involved with has already known who he is
Right.
and what he did. Yeah, he's not going in there with somebody who's completely unknowing of
Hmm.
who he is. And he doesn't have to have that conversation. That's why I think it's so interesting that he would be willing, or, well, he makes the threat of going onto a dating site, but that if that's truly what he would consider, I think that's really interesting, you know.
Yeah, I don't think he ever would
Actually,
for
well,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't think so. I think the fear of having to tell somebody about what he did, because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he has to. First of all, they could find out if they Google his name, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But even aside from that, I think it's like a condition of his probation or his treatment class or something that he would have to um, tell somebody. that.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that he had said that if he were to be friends with somebody, even like at work or something, and if he were to go to their home and they have a child, that at least one person there has to know who he is and also what he did.
Yeah.
Not just that he's a sex offender, but what his crime is specifically, they have to know.
Hmm. Hmm. Yes, I think you're right. I remember hearing that.
Yeah. And I don't know why you would even invite somebody like that over to your home, especially when you have a child. Why would you throw your child out there as the test to see if they're keeping their word that they're a changed person?
Yeah, they do. I mean, I agree. Absolutely. You should have the overwhelming instinct to protect your kid. Nothing on earth should make you risk that, but there are women who certainly do, and
Yeah.
because it's selfishness. They want their own needs met, their needs and wants met, and that's more important than protecting their kid. I think they literally like sacrifice their kid for it.
Yeah. Mm,
Yeah, it happens.
yeah. So essentially, as far as what he needs to change so that he's not at risk for reoffending, is that he's got to protect himself from other people.
Hmm.
That's basically what it comes down to.
And meditate.
Meditate. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like Lorne would have the same definition of meditating that I did when I was young.
Yes.
Like, because one of the things for meditation that I used to hear, or I thought would have to happen, is you have to clear your mind,
Hmm.
empty your mind of thoughts. And I would just be like, there, like, how do you do that? Like, how do you
Yeah.
not think? And that's
Hmm.
impossible. But then in learning what meditation actually is, it's just intense focus,
Hmm.
and it's when your mind does wander, it's bringing yourself back, to the focus.
Right. Focusing on your breath, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
I struggle with it. I'm not
sure.
good at it.
Yeah. Um, but it's interesting that he says do more meditating so I can stay focused when meditation is the focus.
I think he thinks it means like sitting on the floor cross-legged
Yes.
with both your hands up in that position, like your fingertips touching your thumb, and going,
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, I meditated today.
It was very
And
helpful.
that was it. Yeah, there was nothing internal that was happening.
Yeah.
Maybe
I don't want to
Lauren
watch
can
any.
actually clear his mind.
I know. He might be the only human capable of it.
He's like,
In fact,
okay,
it's just,
stop thinking. And then you just hear nothing.
yeah. I mean, he can forget things
That
on
is
demand.
true. That is
That's
true.
the only person I've ever encountered that can do that.
Mm
Intentionally forget things.
hmm. Right. Intentionally forget. But if you ask him in 3 years, then
That's just how his
he can
mind
remember.
works.
Yeah.
He can remember every day of his childhood. He says the dumbest things.
I know. So, the next question, what situations would put you at risk to reoffend?
Okay, so he's half right. He
Hmm.
said, getting into a fragile state of mind and talking to female minors on the internet. So the fragile state of mind is garbage. We know that.
Hmm.
But talking to female minors on the internet would absolutely put him at risk to reoffend. Yes. I
It
mean, he
would.
would be offending. Like
Yeah.
talking to them at all is
Talking to
is
them at all.
offending.
Yes. And I don't know why I just thought this. I think it's the way that he wrote the O, but wouldn't it be funny if he spelled minors with an E?
I thought he did at first.
Maybe he did and he corrected it or
Maybe.
something,
Yeah.
but that would be funny.
I wonder what he crossed out here. I can't make it
Um,
out. Oh, I wonder if he was just, I think it's the word minor.
yeah.
So he was going to say, talking to minors on the internet, but he had to make sure he specified female minors because he's not gay.
That is true.
I really think that is what happened
Yeah,
here.
I agree. I
Because I
agree.
think it's weird that he even included the word female. Like, you can't talk to any minors, Lauren, but oh, yeah, what an idiot.
But you know what I've noticed through these assignments is that, like, he says he can't go on the internet, and he can't talk to female minors on the internet. But why? He doesn't say why.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't talk about how he's attracted to female minors.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't talk about any of that. He doesn't talk about his fantasies. And we know that he has them. That's what drove him to do what he did. That's
Yeah.
what drove him to engage in those conversations for all of those years that he did
Yeah,
them.
absolutely. Again, refer to the chat log, Lauren, because he started talking sexually to Kayla long before she showed him any kind of affection.
Oh, yeah.
And he started when she told him her age
Mm-hmm.
and showed him her little picture.
Yep.
That's when he got turned on.
Yeah. Yeah. But he doesn't talk about any of that.
No, he will because he won't admit it. He's in his mind, he's decided that he's not attracted to young girls. It was just because, his head was so messed up. All he could see was somebody loving him.
Mm-hmm.
So her age didn't register, the way she looked didn't register, the fact that she was a virgin didn't register, none of that. In fact, he didn't even want to talk sexually to her. He was grossed out the whole time. He was, like he was totally uninterested
Yeah.
in the sexual side of it. He only did it because she wouldn't get off the topic. And
Yeah.
that's the story that I think he has really like brainwashed himself into trying to believe that. I think that's what he means when he says he intentionally forgets stuff. He rewrites history,
Mm-hmm.
because he's said it over and over again so many times.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Well, what can you do to stop yourself from reoffending? Include not only avoiding situations, but also think about things for the beginning parts of your cycle.
Practice the art of saying no and avoid talking to female minors on the internet. I'm sorry, didn't it just underline not only avoiding situations?
Uh huh.
So he said I'm going to avoid being used by my family by saying no and avoid talking to kids on the internet.
Yeah. So it's
So
just
again,
basically the same answers.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's his answer.
Okay. So he gets an F for this, though.
He definitely, yes, he does.
Okay.
A big F, written in shit.
Much like that other page.
Right, right.
Okay. So, I think this is one of the interesting assignments as well. This is just one question and he writes out his answer and let's see what he has to say. So the question is, what do you think you need to no longer sexually abuse?
He said, I think for me to not sexually abuse anymore, I need to be aware of my surroundings and to monitor my own intake of alcohol and the people I choose to have in my life. I also need to avoid any contact of anyone on social media that is under the age 18. I need to recognize that not everyone, in fact, hardly anyone from the internet, is out to be friendly, and 99% of them are out for wanting something from you, whether it be for a good reason or a bad reason. He's the one on the internet wanting things for a bad reason.
Yes,
That's him.
sure
But
is.
I'm always really interested in the stuff he crossed out.
Uh huh.
The something need to that the internet is almost a waste of time. The internet is a waste of time.
Almost.
He, the, to not sexually abuse children, he needs to remember that the internet is almost a waste of time. This might be one of the most nonsensical things he's ever written.
It really is.
Monitor my own intake of alcohol. Okay, maybe that would be true if the crimes were committed when he was drunk, but that's
Mm-hmm.
not true. So that doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
The people I choose to have in my life, again, the only people that you need to worry about are children or people who have children.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure that ties back to people using him.
It
He needs
does.
to make sure he doesn't have users in his life.
Correct.
Um, but the bottom part has nothing to do. I'm trying to figure it out, and my brain isn't working. Again, it's backwards. No one on the internet just wants to be friendly, and they want something. That was him.
Yeah.
He was the only one who didn't really want to be friendly. He wanted to talk dirty to a kid.
Right.
I mean, he should have said to recognize that I don't want to use the internet to be friendly or for anything good. I want it for bad. I mean,
I know. I know. The internet really did a number on this guy.
it's like saying the phone. The phone ruined my life because I used the phone to to talk dirty to a kid. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like
Right.
it doesn't it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. I mean, it's just like when Lauren is sitting in front of Chris and he starts talking about Amanda James and
Mhm.
how, she lied to him and stuff like that. I mean, he just asked like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
And I mean, it's the same type of a thing. He cannot look inward. He cannot look
Mhm.
at himself as being the perpetrator here. He's going to look at it as, yes, he did those things. He broke the law, but he didn't want to.
Mhm.
He has a good heart. He loves kids. He does not want to hurt kids. And he's so sensitive that everyone else around him makes him do things and it makes him feel things that aren't good, but they're in control.
Mhm.
He's not. So really what it comes down to is Lorne just loves too much.
Yeah, he's too good of a guy.
Yeah.
He's just too good of a person.
Yep.
He can't ignore his family when they need money, and that is what led him to try to have sex with a little girl.
Yep.
Oh, that's very frustrating. It would be interesting if they made him do all the assignments over again, which I absolutely think they should,
They should,
um,
yes.
because this is all bullshit. It makes no sense. It's taking no responsibility. And if they're going to keep him in that class, they should, try again, Lauren. You didn't get it right. Let's try again. Let's see if you've learned anything.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to see how his answers would change, or if they would change.
Yeah, I was just thinking now from what I understand, he's in individual therapy now. He's not in the
Hmm.
class. So, if that were to be the case, and I was thinking, well, maybe they should go through each one of them there.
Yeah.
But I also feel like that would be pointless, just like everything else. Because I think that especially if this is a female and he wants to come off as a good guy, and impress her and try to have some type of a relationship with her, that he's going to pretty much agree with everything that she says.
Hmm. Yeah.
And she's going to be answering the questions for him. Not to say that she wouldn't know how to handle somebody like Lauren because she should. That's her job.
Mhm.
So I'm just looking at it from a very general standpoint that if she were to be really helping him walk through these questions, she can be saying all of the right things. She can be answering the questions in a way that we would say, yeah, that's the answer.
Mhm.
And Lauren can co sign on that on paper, but he doesn't really believe it.
No, you're exactly right. Because we saw him do the exact same thing with like all of his catfish.
Mm-hmm.
He would answer the question, he'd give the wrong answer, and then his therapist or counselor or whatever could say, "Well, Lauren, how about you think about that a little more? Don't you think it's more like this, or do you think that, oh, yeah, yeah, no, I agree. You're right. Makes perfect sense." But he doesn't really believe it.
No.
From what I gathered, what they were focused on, at least when Lauren was talking to Casey in his individual counseling, they were focusing on him reparenting himself,
Mm-hmm.
which is an interesting term. But again, it kind of re it, I don't know. I don't know exactly what that means, but it makes me feel like it's kind of reinforcing his victim complex. Like, oh, bad things happened to you when you were a child. You weren't parented properly. So now we're going to reparent yourself.
It could be. I'm also looking at it in the way of maybe that is a way to have him take responsibility because the purpose of parenting is to help someone grow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Into an independent person. And Lorne, if he needs to reparent himself, then that would be having the skills that it takes to be an independent person, someone who's responsible for everything that they do.
Yeah, it could. I mean, so I just Googled it.
Okay.
It said, and this, I don't know if this applies to him in his treatment. I mean, this is just the first thing that popped up in Google, but it
Mm-hmm.
said, in broad strokes, reparenting is a self directed process of supplying yourself with the love, support, and validation that your parents may have failed to provide. People with difficult upbringings find themselves lacking the critical coping skills, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
confidence, and positive self talk that adults need to thrive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, yeah, I mean, it seems to me, and it's also interesting that he's willing to admit that he needs to reparent himself when he talks about how great his mother was.
Yeah, I think that he will think about that in a way of she was a great mother, but she had it really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So she wasn't able to give me everything because she had such a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
So she would have wanted to, and it wasn't her intention to not do those things. But it's simply that her life was so difficult based on the other kids and his own father when he was around, and Dale and everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I can understand where it would make you feel like that just makes him seem like he can act like a baby because he is one.
Mm-hmm.
And so he needs to start at step 1 and he needs to grow up. So I mean, I think also that when it says working on validation, your own validation,
Mm-hmm.
um, those things are going to be important for Lauren.
Definitely. No, I can totally see that
Yeah.
because he looks for outside validation completely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think, for self-esteem purposes as well, because I think when it comes to the catfishing scenarios, he's been
Mm-hmm.
involved in all of that because he feels kind of shitty and he doesn't have anything else going on.
Mm-hmm.
So he can live in that little fantasy world that he has. And it's where he has a girlfriend and he has friends that call him and text him.
I think you're exactly right, because he mentioned when he talked about how him and Julie are talking about reparenting himself,
Mm-hmm.
he immediately mentioned that his self-esteem was so low
Mm-hmm.
from, I think he said it was from the sting and the show and all the exposure and everything. Um, so yeah, you're totally right.
Well,
That's exactly what she's
I
doing.
think that, and he can say that it's from this sting, but I think that was way before.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure his confidence would probably be better if he wasn't
Yeah,
on
definitely.
TV.
Right.
But yeah, I think he has always had very low self-esteem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think he's always been the quiet, shy
Mm-hmm.
um, kid. You know, wasn't very outgoing, wasn't particularly, good at a lot. He wasn't a standout, you know,
Mm-hmm.
where in school he didn't do great, in sports he didn't excel. He didn't
Socially
have a lot of
kind
friends.
of
Yeah,
just
he did.
weird.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't have a lot of friends. He just kind of lived almost vicariously
Mm-hmm.
through everyone else that he was seeing around him. And from a personal standpoint, that must have been difficult, and
Mm-hmm.
it must have been, confusing as well, especially as a younger person who's trying to figure things out.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to figure out who they are, who other people are, how you relate to each other, and all of that. And maybe he's looking at it like, everyone else is seeming to, be good at things, or they have friends and they date, and I don't do any of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, certainly that could have an impact on how he was feeling and what his self esteem was.
Yeah, but now that I think about it more, and now that I've read the sort of the description of what that means, it does make a lot of sense, because his in his mind, the root of this whole issue, the story he's going with, the root of all of it was that his family used him and didn't say thank you with
Mm-hmm.
meatballs.
Mm-hmm.
So he obviously was looking for validation there, when he wanted his siblings to make him feel good about himself. He's unable to um, feel good without somebody else
Mm-hmm.
providing the validation, right? So and that, I mean, that's a big part of it, obviously, is learning that you don't need that from other people in order to be happy, because I think he craves that more than anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's why all of his scenarios are storybook. The
Mm-hmm.
relationship with his mom, the relationship his wife will have with his mom, and how he'll have the relationship with his wife is going to be a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is really ideal, and it's the direct opposite of that in reality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that concludes the assignments.
Wow.
Can you believe it? um, but certainly, based on what we've seen here, there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, this was, you said 2014, so this was 10 years ago. Um, and the scary part is he really hasn't budged from it.
No, no. I think some of the assignments may have been updated a little bit. Not all of the pages are dated though,
Hmm.
so um, it's hard to say. But it's the same assignments. He had to go through the book twice.
Oh, he did.
He
Okay.
did, yeah. So he had went through it in his first class, and then when he got moved to another one, he had to do it again, and he was really pissed off about that.
So which one are we looking at? First time around or second time around, or a combination?
I think that he pretty much used the same assignments, the same
Oh,
answers for his, when he had to do it again.
oh my God.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination, whatever he sent over, you know. So
Hmm.
I don't know. Um, I can't imagine that he's been very organized with these.
Right. No, I'm sure you're right though. He's like, I already finished the book. It doesn't matter that everything in it was wrong. I'm just gonna It's like failing a test, taking the test again and using the same incorrect answers and wondering
Yeah.
why you're not
Yeah,
passing.
and exactly. And you're like, well, I finished it.
Wow.
I put answers there. Isn't that good enough? But it isn't.
No.
That's the thing.
No. Certainly not for something this important. It's their
Yeah.
job to, assess his threat level to the community,
Hmm.
and he can't even bullshit the answers to tell them what they want to hear. So of course they're not going to let him out of class.
Yeah, exactly. In his effort to make himself seem non threatening, like this was just a mistake, I don't want to hurt kids, all that kind of stuff. With all of that, it's he's showing that it's dependent on other people. So if he
Hmm.
has a bad day, or if he has his feelings hurt, or he feels rejected, what does that mean? What's going to
Yeah, then
happen the next time that your mind gets flipped upside down? What's going to happen then? What are you going to do? I
no,
mean,
he's
and
going to hurt a kid, and it's not going to be his fault.
yeah, he's going to, right. He's saying in here basically that he's at risk for reoffending if somebody
Hmm.
hurts his feelings.
Which is by him saying I had no control of myself at the time because of what other people had done. That means he's more dangerous than any other situation.
Hmm.
If you can't control yourself, Lauren, and right, your behavior is dependent on other people, then you're a huge threat
Yeah.
forever until you own your actions and say, I am in control. I chose to do this. I wanted it. I don't want that anymore. I'm working really hard to control that attraction or urges or whatever.
Hmm.
Then of course you're super dangerous.
Yeah. Just like it said in the psych evaluation, he's not a reliable narrator,
Hmm.
so you can't believe what he says, and he's dangerous.
I think she nailed that too with the reliable narrator thing. She said it's difficult to tell if he knows that he's lying or if he believes his lies.
Hmm.
Um, and I think on the surface, he believes, deep down, he knows they're lies, like very deep down there.
Hmm.
But on the surface, he has tried to, I think he's actually pretty successfully convinced himself that all that stuff is true.
Hmm.
That, like I only wanted to talk to that girl because she was showing me that she cared about me.
Hmm.
But way, way buried down, 6 feet under, he knows that he talked to her because he was turned on by a little kid. He just can't admit that even to himself.
No, he can't, and he couldn't admit it in any of these assignments either.
Hmm.
At, how many answers were there? Got to get off the internet.
Hmm.
Can't
Well, he
go in chat
literally
rooms.
said, I didn't want to talk to her like that.
Hmm.
I did it because I just didn't want her to leave and she wanted me to talk like that.
Hmm. Yeah. Dangerous man.
Yep. Well, he sucks. He sucks answering questions.
Well, I think that sums it up then. He sucks and he sucks at answering questions.
Hmm.
Yeah.
He sucks at writing and keeping things clean.
I know. Who hands in a paper with shit on
I know,
it?
literal shit.
Oh my
There's
God.
nothing in the world that can convince me that that is not actual shit on that paper. Like, what were you doing? I don't want to know what he was doing. I don't know.
Well, we are not going to try to convince you
Okay, because
that
you
it's
can't.
not. No, exactly. Yeah, no, we're definitely not going to. If there was an assignment and there was a question that said, "What is that?" You would say, it should. You're not going to tell me it isn't.
Yeah.
And we'd have to be like, all right, well, I mean, we're not going to be able to convince her. So we just have to let her go.
Never in a million years. Like a million
Exactly.
years.
Exactly. So we're going to try to not have it be 6 months until our next video
Mm-hmm.
because that's how long
Okay.
it was since the last one.
Was it really?
It was. I was so
Alrighty.
surprised. I know. I looked at the date and I was like, 6 months? What?
Wow. That I did not realize that. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Some things came up, I guess, right?
I got busy.
Got busy. Well, we will definitely be back. So, we do have some other topics in mind. We will be talking about his lawsuits again at some
Mm-hmm.
point. I did tell Amanda James earlier there is a parole hearing that we will be watching. I think that will be fascinating. And of course, we have Jody. We can't forget about Jody.
I never forget about Jody. She's in my mind daily. So I can't wait to get back to Jody.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We have some trials that are starting this year that I think, well, allegedly Sarah Boone may or may not be happening.
Yeah, we'll see.
She's already been delayed again. It was supposed to start in May. And much
Mm-hmm.
to the disappointment of most people, it's not going forward. But it will be at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so we have a lot to get to, just like always. And we will eventually. I think that's going to be the motto. We will eventually.
Yeah, someday.
Someday. Well, anyway,
We'll do it when we do it. Stay tuned.
exactly. Yeah, stay tuned. You never know. You never know when it's going to pop up.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank you, Amanda James, as always.
Yes, thank you for having me on. It's always so fun.
Of course, of course. Yes, and thank you for making me laugh. You,
Whatever.
you just you have a way of doing it, and then it just hits me.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. Well, everyone, we will see you next time. And until then, take care.